we're not talking about it tonight. So don't even ask. Unless, of course, you know, all internet activity shuts down and, you know, they flash the "you've got 10 minutes to live, kiss your ass goodbye" sign on the screen. None of the shit that's going on right now is going to really be addressed tonight. We're not going there. If you don't know what's going on, it's your own damn fault. So,
and you just answered the first question that was asked before we even began. So I hope that satisfies your curiosity.
Yeah, please be happy with that. That doesn't mean I won't talk about it on BitChute in the future, but more and more my YouTube channel is not going to talk about that stuff because of shadow banning issues. I will instead, you know, just parasitize YouTube for any political rants I might have. Send you guys over to my BitChute. Fuck big tech.
BitChute?
Yeah, BitChute. Occasionally Odyssey and shit as well. So we'll see. I haven't started using any of those, so I just use BitChute for now.
That's where the true revolutionaries live.
Yeah, it's definitely edgy. It's definitely more edgy than the others. The comments are pretty damn edgy. It's pretty damn badass. All right.
It's almost like when you kick all the edgy people off of one platform, they congregate and like make up the majority of different ones.
This is true.
I realize I said that as if I'm like trying to backhand somebody, but no, it's just like, yeah.
But it's the back of the bus, dude. It's the back of the internet bus. That's where I belong. That's where I've always belonged. I've always been on the back of the bus. Speaking of the back of the bus, what's up, Eddie, my Freddy, my friend? What is going on? Sitting all back of the bus over there, my friend. What's going on? Welcome, Eddie. Eddie is our resident Colin Robertson. And we welcome him.
We all know we're only in this because we're edgy.
That's it. We're so edgy, dude. We cut ourselves, actually. I mean, I'm sitting here wearing a fucking Darth Sidious cloak and shit. Let me fucking act normal again. I do wear this in rituals, but...
It's like what I say. This is just fucking therapy for people who like being edgy, dressing in black, and demons and shit.
That's it. So
it's spicy therapy.
I mean, I always wear black. That's not the problem. I'm always wearing like metalhead goth style. I don't necessarily wear this out in public, but you know, we're just here to be dorks. And Jennifer says, "What's up, nerds?" So
speaking of dorks,
true. So let me pop out the chat, and then we'll go through the usual routine of welcoming people. Sorry we're late. Eddie made us completely late by being perfectly on time. He was so on time, it fucked us all up, and then we ended up being late. So, yeah. There's also going to be there's also a new product on Etsy, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. You probably already know what it is, but if you want to just grab it right now before everybody else, just click the link that's pinned in the comments if you want to check it out. But we'll talk about that at some point in a little bit more detail once, you know, we get an actual population in here. You know, since we run late, a lot of people just show up like an hour in. They want to make sure I'm good and ramped up. They want to make sure I'm really just revved and just going. So,
and I think you've got something to start us off with, and you're going to say hello. But let me say hello to everybody before he does, and that this is going to be a little bit of a Q&A. So, you know, if us fucking caveman magicians don't satisfy your curiosity most of the time, then we have somebody here who fucking knows a whole lot about a whole bunch of different things. So he might have a little bit more educated opinion on shit. So if you got questions, then type them in the chat. I will do my best to find them and bring them to these good folks.
Satisfaction is my middle name.
So Eddie Satisfaction Romanov. I like that. Yeah. It's wait, Romanov, you're not one of them, are you? That are Eddie.
No, I'm from the Holy Roman Empire Romanovs.
Oh, okay. All right. That's fine. Gotcha. Just make sure, because people are asking already. We said we wouldn't talk about it. I want to make sure we don't, we don't have, reds in the room. That would not be good. All right. So, yeah. So we're going to, once we get going a little bit, we got almost 40 people watching. Go tell your friends, tell them Thorne's finally showed up. And so did Fleshy, and so did Eddie, and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. This is a break from current events for people who are sick and tired of just every fucking streamer and person you watch just pontificating endlessly about shit they don't know anything about. We're going to talk about shit we don't know about that has nothing to do with current events. So it's a little bit different, and it'll get your mind off of the bullshit. I will say, try not to panic. That's we're not there yet. That's coming. Not yet though. So yeah.
We are going to rant about things that we know nothing about, but be very loud and very confident about it.
I was actually really good at that game Boulder Dash. If you never played it, it's like a little tabletop board game where like you have to like come up with these bullshit words and like explain them and act like you know. And half the time I knew what the real word meant if it was a real word. But yes, I was able to pretty much generally fake it.
Oh, dude, that sounds like so much fun.
It was. It was a fun game.
Oh, that's basically what I do on this stream. That's fucking great.
It kind of is. I'm surprised they don't have a Jackbox edition of it or something. It would be really good on like a Jackbox type of deal.
So, are you ready for a question? We have one.
Well, we were going to do a couple things tonight.
Oh, okay.
I think questions will be good. I just wanted to make sure you saw in the questions channel on Discord, we have a list of the best roasts from Facebook tonight. So we will talk about those. I want to make sure that's just...
shit. Okay. I thought that was weird. Normally, I'm the only one who posts in here. Like, what the fuck are they doing in here? They must have got lost.
What? They have a questions channel?
Yeah, that's Fleshy made it just for him and Camilla and me. But it's a channel. I mean, we can bring Eddie in there. I don't care.
Nah.
Don't put him in there. He's going to see things he just can't handle. So I actually, you know what? Let's make tonight. Yes, we're going to talk serious stuff. But since Eddie's here and he has access to some amazing Reddit questions. Do you not, Eddie?
Oh, Jesus.
So between that and the kinds of questions we get on Facebook and elsewhere, I think that would be a fun topic tonight to just kind of like coalesce the stupidity. And we won't name names on those things.
You want to massage wrinkles into brains?
Right. We want. So Eddie, if you got any saved up in your head that won't get you in trouble, if not, I got a few that I sent you.
I just opened it up and I already lost my will to live.
So we're gonna make it. Tonight's a happy-go-lucky night. We're gonna rant about non-duality, magic, and demons. We're gonna rant about Lucifer. We're gonna rant about everything. In fact, Eddie and I are gonna be doing I don't know if it's gonna be a series or just part of maybe my training class. I don't know. We'll see how we're gonna put it together. But we're gonna have like a meeting of the Gnostic Luciferian minds, and we're gonna talk about that subject. Probably because there's a lot coming up that I'm gonna be putting out that's in that vein very soon. So we're going to talk about that maybe a little bit tonight. Just a little.
You know what? I could hear the fucking belts loosening by a couple rungs. This is a nice, relaxed stream tonight. Okay.
Until I get going, and that's going to just turn into...
We're doing a rant slam.
We're going to... If only... tonight's not going to be a take a shot for non-duality night. It will be, but I'm going to pretend it's not.
This is like the fucking beat poetry of the occult night.
Yeah.
I need you with the glasses on, Fleshy, and backing me up with bongos.
Okay, right? I could cook something up.
I think I'll go with a light red tonight. How do I look? Do I look beautiful?
Whoa, man. Whoa, man.
So I'm noticing all the comments. All the damn comments is Russia, Putin. We're not talking about it, dude. We're not getting shadow banned for it tonight. Now we're leaving the real world.
They can talk about it if they want. We're just not going to.
Yes, you guys can absolutely chit-chat all you want about that stuff, for sure. But we're not addressing it, especially since Fleshy's here. But it wouldn't matter. I'm not in the mood. It's been like all day long, and it's like it's not an issue worth talking about right now. It's just not. There's other crises too, by the way. It's not. We won't even talk about any of it tonight. We're just gonna have fun. All right. So we got... I don't know. We had 40 people and now there's 30 again. What happened? Did we lose someone in did they cut the internet, Eddie? No,
they're not going to talk about politics.
That could be what happened. Yeah, that's
I have it on good authority that there's a room full of furries at NSA headquarters right now defending our nation against Russian cyber attacks.
And I'm sure vice versa, to be honest with you. There's probably furries all over the world right now.
Or furry.
Yeah, it really is. Like, okay, think of it this way, guys. No matter what country you want to win all these things, your side's being protected by furries right now.
Programmers, baby.
Yeah, so for real, just relax, take a deep breath, let your sphincter loose for a little while. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Just let it in. We're gonna magic you up the butt tonight. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Okay, so Nikki's here. She's gonna laugh because we're actually gonna be using one of her roasts of me tonight. That's actually gonna be part of the comedy. So where do you want to start, Fleshy? Should we start with the comedy roasts or the legit questions? What do you want to do?
Well. Okay, let's start with the question, but let's ease our way into it because now I need to know. Andrew Occult has asked several times, what are your thoughts on the penis monkeys? And he is very adamant. Is there something I'm out of the loop on, or is this guy just living next to a fucking radioactive zoo?
Eddie, this sounds like it's your territory, to be brutally honest. I've heard of nothing like that, actually. I've never heard of anything like a penis monkey, but I feel like you might know.
Oh, he might have been talking about the programmers.
Was some artwork posted of a penis monkey on the Discord.
Was there?
Oh no!
Oh, let me zoom into our Discord that I'm
not
supposed
sure,
to be.
Maybe Chamber of Spirits. Like my garage has been taken over by penis monkeys, kind of thing.
Just for the record, Chamber of Spirits is supposed to be for questions about gods and things, not pictures of penis monkeys. I hope nobody's putting that in there. I've been pretty good about looking, but
oh no.
83,
okay, well, while you're checking that out, I'm going to ask one of the serious questions. Buzzit Nation asks, is there any evil or dark purpose in what you practice, or is it light and enlightenment of good? Maybe it's both.
Oh, man. Couldn't you just give me a question like, what color is Lucifer's elbow? Come on.
The people's elbow.
I mean, all right. Who's this person? They must be new. So we're going to give them some respect and say they just don't know. Who are they?
I think Buzzit. I don't remember seeing Buzznet Nation here before. So you might be new. You might have changed your name or something. Or, sorry, I just don't recognize the name. So we're going to treat it like you knew.
Okay, so, and what was the question again? Read it slow, because I'm stupid. I want to taste the nuance of the question.
Is there any evil or dark purpose in what you practice, or is it light and enlightenment of good? Maybe it's both.
Oh, man. You know, who's going to predict what I'm going to say? Who wants to predict what I'm going to say to that question? I want to hear the predictions before I actually.
I think we're gonna say similar things.
I got one green lighter down on non-duality.
I get your green lighter ready. Okay, so the dichotomy of good and evil is absolutely fucking retarded. It is literally a pair of reflections of an ineffable source that actually is neither. It's nothing like good or evil. Good or evil is just a nonsensical human perspective on things, and it's really generally relativistic in the sense that what is good for the goose isn't always good for the gander, if you know what I mean. Humanity thinks that, hey, if it's good for everybody, then it's good. That's what it is, the greater good. The thing is it's always self-centered, either in the individual or in the species or in the community, the culture, etc. I'm not quite talking moral relativism, although that is absolutely a part of the conversation. The idea of good and evil, however, generally the way I see it is I'm genuinely compassionate and sincerely compassionate. What that means is I don't sugarcoat my reasons for doing things. If I don't want to help you, there's a reason for it. If I do want to help you, there's a reason for it. It may not be because of what people think it should be. So for example, if I don't do you harm, it may be simply because I look at you and see you as another extension of the divine, or it may be because I don't want to be guilted and feel embarrassed for not helping you, but I'm sincere about that with myself. So in other words, most people, when they do what they call good, are doing it for really selfish reasons. Really ridiculously selfish reasons. I'm going to go pull that lady out of a burning building because I'd feel really bad if I didn't. So are you doing it for the lady or for yourself? Which is it really? Be honest. If you're being honest, more often than not, most people are self-serving rather than actually compassionate. So sincerity and compassion are the point, not doing good and love and light or evil. And anybody who does either one is a comic book character. In other words, anybody who does evil on purpose or good on purpose, you're a comic book character. You're not real. You don't exist.
You're not actually acting by your own motivations. You're reacting to the fucking world around you of, I could do that, but would that be the evil thing to do? Just rubbing your fucking bones together like Skeletor. Just,
right. But I never sit there and go, how could I fuck up the world today? Never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. I don't sit there doing that. I don't sit there going, how can this serve me? I mean, I do, but not like that. I usually do it a little bit more cool than that. So what is D.H. Thorne? D.H. Thorne's fucking your mother. I say that in a nice way. I'm saying that as a Canadian. I'm not saying it literally. D.H. Thorne's fucking your mother. I really don't think of things in good and evil ways. I am irreverent about and agnostic about these ideas of fucking morality. I think they're ridiculous. Now, does that mean that there's things that I don't have a line in front of? Of course. I see certain things as a rabid dog. Now, if you have a rabid dog running through your neighborhood or or trying to get into your house, do you just say, oh, that's fine? No, of course not. You deal with the rabid dog, sometimes rather brutally, to be honest with you. So if you're a pedo, for example, the shit that I would do. But we're not going to go there. Just understand that if you're worried about me being evil or being a love and light fool, just put it to bed. Just put it to bed. It's not, if that is a dichotomy that you ascribe either way as important, you won't understand me yet. You just won't. But you're welcome to stay and learn and understand what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that to be smug. I know I sound smug. I do that as a character act. But my point is, you won't understand it yet. You've got to get your head out of this dichotomy of good and evil and understand that the divine will is neither. And the divine will is what manifests everything, including you. Now, that may sound like some kind of a weird Christian thing to say, but I'm telling you that you're an avatar for divine will. You are God incarnate, for lack of a better word. So if you're God incarnate, how can anything you do actually be evil or good or either one? It's neither. It transcends all ideas of good and evil. So from a human perspective, everybody thinks they're good. I think I'm good. From a human perspective, I think I'm a good guy. I try to do what I think is right in certain situations. Does that mean I'm actually good or evil? Depends on you, my friend. If you're a pedo and you think being a pedo is a good thing, and I do to you the things that I would do to you if I caught you, which is generally just call the police, obviously for legal purposes, by the way, you'd probably think I was evil. But if you're someone who, you know, likes when people pull people out of burning cars and shit, you'd probably think I'm good. So which am I? I'm really neither. I'm just a person who's living their life sincerely. And I try not to be a dick. And I think that's the goal, right? Try not to be a dick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Try not to be a fucking asshole, man.
Try not to be a
We
fucking
already
asshole.
have enough of those in the world. Fuck more assholes. Stop being such a fucking asshole.
I mean, consenting adult assholes.
Well, yeah, that doesn't even need to be stated.
Oh, man. So we're in a goofy mood tonight. Tell your friends, get everybody in here. We only got 30 people. What does everybody want to talk about? Like Russia? Is that why? Is it like, oh, Thorne's not going to talk about Russia? Let's leave. Let's go to, I want to go to CNN. Let's go to Fox, CNN. They're going to talk about Russia. That's all I want to know about.
I'm going to start dosing in some of the fucking roasts.
Well, hold on. Eddie didn't respond yet. I want to hear Eddie's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So my path is based on, first and foremost, practicing radical love and acceptance for myself and for everybody else. Now, if you're an asshole, I'm going to accept that you are an asshole. And then, like the rabid dog, I am going to do the most compassionate, loving thing I can do for you. And that is put you down before you hurt somebody else.
You said it so much more concisely than Eddie. That's why I love you. You take my scattered ADD brain and you're just like, all right, let's cram it through a little fucking filter. Here we go. Boop, boop, boop. One sentence.
Or the even shorter version, wolf, deer, something, something, non-duality.
Yeah. I mean, I like to quote what's her tits, Morticia, all the time. And I think she was quoting somebody. I forget who she was quoting. But what is order for the spider is chaos for the fly. Which one of them is good? Which one is evil?
Good for the farmer is bad for the pig.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, which side of the equation you're on depends, but I'm going to tell you, here's the real truth. If you got to worry about it, you don't realize that you're divine and you're on both sides of that equation. You are every murderer and every sinner and every saint that has ever existed. You're all of them, and now you're you. And you're you right now, and whatever your perspective relationship to those other things are, that's on you. There is no objective good or evil, period.
Yeah,
So
really
I am
just
everyone.
trying to separate everything into, you know, nice, clean categories of black and white, of it's either over there or it's over here. There is no in between. Just is putting yourself in a fucking false reality. If you can't accept that literally everything around you is some fucking shade of gray, then you're just not living in the same reality everybody else is in.
And let's also, you know, recognize, I had a thought and I lost it. Come on, Thorne, where is it? Okay, there it is. That in order to be one, you have to be the other. To be neither, you have to be able to be both. So duality is a projection of non-duality. So non-duality is the higher truth, but within itself, it reflects a dualistic. So imagine non-duality is like a big circular mirror with no outside at all whatsoever. It's all just a reflective surface reflecting into itself. Bang, that's non-duality. In that case, duality would be the reflection in every single instance. So in order to know goodness, you must also know evil. To know pleasure, you must know pain. To know mortality, you must know immortality, and vice versa. They both have to coexist, co-create each other. Neither one can exist without the other. That also includes knowledge of those things. That means you can actually be neither good nor evil, but in so doing, you must have the ability to experience that duality as well. So non-duality, the monad, the source, Brahman, whatever the fuck, perfectly reflects itself into itself. And just, have you ever placed two mirrors to look at each other? What happens? You get infinity, you know, divide by zero error, and it just goes forever into the mirror. And it's pretty cool, actually. Well, imagine that happening, but with like a funhouse interior mirror, crazy something non-duality, as Eddie would say.
So reality is a disco ball, and we're living on the inside of it.
Mm-hmm. And there is no outside to that disco ball, period. So that means that all your ideas of good and evil are mortal little delusions. And that doesn't mean, at the same time, as much as I'm dismissing them, that doesn't mean that they're meaningless. It just means that to hold one in higher regard than the other is just a mortal egoistic perspective. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, a spider had better eat a fly. A rabid dog had better try to eat me. And I'm gonna, as Eddie said, I'm also gonna do what I gotta do. And I'm not gonna lose any sleep when I do. But I like the way Eddie put it, because there's an element of compassion to it. When I was teaching martial arts, I know I'm a fat ass, once upon a time I was a little bit better at it. One of the things that was taught to us was to put down an attacker quickly, even if it was a little brutal, just to get the conflict over, because drawing a conflict out, even if it seems gentle to just beat them up a little bit and try to get them to submit, it actually has more potential to do harm than if you just in the throat, knock them down, and it's over. That may not sound nice, but it's actually the reality of real violence. Anybody who's lived on the street knows yeah, you can do it the hard way, and maybe it's cool, but I'd rather just get it over with and just be like, are you done? We're done? Good, we're done. And I'd rather have the same done to me. I don't want to prolong conflict. I'd rather have it over quickly. And sometimes that means I am very sweet about it, by the way. That doesn't mean I just go right to the maximum. Like, that's not what I mean. So, all right. Goose Frappa.
All right. Well, I'm happy you're relaxed because I'm about to hit you with a roast. So.
No. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it's happening.
No.
So top of the list is from. Should I say their names? No, they fucking
No,
sent
say
these
their
to you.
names.
Yeah,
Say their names.
this.
They publicly roasted me. I'm gonna publicly respond, and we're gonna have fun. Damn it.
So Nicole Bennett writes, "Oh God, you asked for it, bro. Listen here, you drama queen son of a witch. You
Oof.
claim to not like drama, yet you flock to it. Anytime you want to talk to me, it's because of drama. Anything you have to say that has importance is drama, and you're a clout-chasing, thirsty one. Constantly looking at your stats. Don't worry, I'm catching up.
You're saying
and,
this too fast.
You know,
Read
I will
this slow.
pass
Read
you
it like
up real quick.
Nikki would. Read it a little bit slower.
Savor it.
Yeah, savor.
it.
I want to feel. Yeah, and she said, "Say my name, bitch." I want to feel every. I know she said it with love, so I want to hear it.
Okay. Okay.
Boost this ego.
I did the wrong reading. Then I'll put on a different voice.
Nikki said, "Don't dox me, bro."
Listen here, you drama queen son of a witch. You claim to not like drama, yet you flock to it. Anytime you want to talk to me is because of drama. Anything you have to say that has importance is drama. And you're a clout-chasing, thirsty one, constantly looking at your own stats. Don't worry, I'm catching up. And you know I will pass you up real quick.
Oh, snap. Yeah, I mean, I would say, all right, so that first thing about how you only talk to me when it's about drama. Bitch, I don't even talk to your ass. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding back. Relax. This ain't serious. And what was the other one? Yeah, I do check my stats a lot. That's totally for sure. And you may pass me up, but you ain't never going to forget me. All right.
That was like a last unicorn moment. There's my immortality.
That's right. You may pass me up, but you ain't going to forget me.
I may have just been the first dungeon guardian, but you still had to best me to move on.
Look, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, in a lot of video games, my favorite boss is the first one. Like in all the Tenchu games, I love killing that first boss. That was always my favorite boss. I kill him over and over and over again. The Shady Merchant, I think is what it's called, usually in all the Tenchu games. Shady Merchant. Fucking love that dude. In Legend of Zelda, I love that first dungeon and boss. That was always like my favorite. I love going through that part. Don't know why. It just had a vibe.
The early game is always the most well crafted. And since we kind of segued into media, let me segue into this question. Hector Lich asks, what's your favorite horror movie with occult undertones and themes?
Eddie, read my mind.
Oh, your mind? Fuck.
No, your mind is fine. Read your own mind, but it's probably, what's your favorite? We'll do Eddie first. What's your favorite occult movie with undertones?
I got to pick one. Just one.
Right?
Lord of Illusions.
I'm not familiar with that one.
I'm not either. I know I've seen it though. I know I've seen it, but I don't remember it. Run it through. Tell us why.
Well, it's a cult where the cult leader is actually doing magic, and bad things happen, and then he comes back and shit is awesome. And it's a Clive Barker movie. There's lots of really good one-liners in it.
Oh, I'm sold already.
You know, and it's just, yeah, like Nyx, who's the bad guy in that movie, is like that's one of the ways I try to approach ritual, where it's just like, we are just mud and shit.
That wasn't the one that had the, I think I'm thinking Wishmaster. I don't know. Clive Barker did so many good movies. This is no question.
It's the one with the one guy who escapes the cult, becomes an illusionist, but he's actually doing real magic on stage as well.
Because there's also that more recent movie. That's not what I'm thinking of, is it? There's this one movie. Maybe that is the one I'm thinking of.
Lord of Illusions is like 1990, maybe?
No, I thought you meant, I think it was just called The Illusionist. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. That's also a pretty decent one, but.
Yeah, I like that movie too. Not Clive Barker, but it's good.
Let's expand it to top 3. Let's go back and forth 3 times, because one movie ain't going to do it.
No, you know what? Behemoth X writes The Seventh Gate.
I remember that one too.
That's one that I want to enjoy more than I actually do. I can never, it's so slow for me most of the time, where I like the movie, but I can't exactly enjoy it most of the time I sit down to watch. But it's like really nice just to have on, if that makes any sense at all.
So for me, I'm going to say Warlock, you know, on brand, I guess. Warlock's going to be the one for me. for many reasons, multiple reasons. Yeah, I mean, sure, fuck it. It's not exactly respectful to what I do, but they included quite a bit of actual lore, even though I wouldn't even say that they perverted it that much, to be honest. Some of it was actual the lore that real demonolators believe in, and demonologists believe in. It was told from the good guy side, so of course all the things that were discussed were generally sort of different than how I would work with them. But you have the warlock who, goes to the medium to, I love the medium scene. It's one of the best scenes in the whole movie. He goes to a medium to get his orders from, I guess, the devil, right? That's the idea. And he asked this medium, who's a fraud, of course, to contact Samiel or Zamiel or whatever, one of Eddie's favorites. And, she's like, I am Zamiel, and it's all stupid. And he's like, she's like trying to get him into it. And he's like, I'm just going to propose we wait till the actual Zamiel shows up. And then when it does, it's like really cool. And it's like, they did such a good job. And they talk about the Grand Grimoire, and they talk about like the true name of God and all kinds of just cool elements. So I'm going to say, why'd you say Dark Crystal? That's not a horror movie, bro. Otherwise I'd say yes, Dark Crystal.
Bull fucking shit. Watch that at 5 or 6 years old and tell me it's not a horror movie.
I mean, it's a horror for like
Fuck
3
you.
minutes at the end, I guess.
I have childhood fucking trauma over the fucking crystal scene and the fucking like animals falling into the pit and shit. No, overall it's not a horror movie, but it has some fucking horror elements in it.
That's like Secret in Him. Like you could say, what's that?
That's trauma.
Yeah.
It's not a horror, it's a trauma.
Warhammer 40K.
Yes.
Debbie Does Dallas. All right. So that's one each. I don't know, Eddie. Should we go back and forth a few more times? Or are you good?
Well, hey, I just read Behemoth. I'm gonna also throw in, I'm gonna throw in some of my top 3, just top of my head. Fucking Hellraiser, definitely near the top of the list. Hellraiser. I have to watch that movie at least once a year. It's just such a fucking comfort movie for me.
That movie taught me things about myself I didn't know.
Why am I suddenly excited which was the one that had the one with the chick with the which have like a zipper face? I don't remember. Zipper head. Anyway.
I think that was one of the one. I think that was one of the ones that we pretend don't exist.
True.
Fucking.
Let me think. Go ahead, Fleshy.
That movie is the one that I point others to of like, and this is why I don't like being called daddy. Fucking weird, man. Not kink shaming.
I'm gonna cut in line. I'm gonna say The Void is actually interestingly up there for me.
That was the one I was gonna say next.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that the one with the triangle?
Yes. Something about that movie. It does Lovecraft justice, even though it's not Lovecraft. And it's got actual magical stuff in it. Like there's actual diagrams and stuff in there that are magical from actual magical stuff. I love it when they actually research things and throw them in there. I love it when they do that.
The Void is one of the top 10 best Lovecraft movies, and Lovecraft didn't make it.
Yep.
Or write it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I think he would have approved, though. I think he would have approved. And ironically, for some reason, it's probably not the right answer, but Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead stuff. I'm gonna say, for some reason, like there's nothing legit occult about it, but it's got a great occult. It like puts me in the mood. Right? It just does.
It's got really the aesthetic.
It's got the right vibe. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We should always approach ritual with the confidence of Ash.
Which, hey, I think that's perfectly valid too. Of it just wears the aesthetic and everything, because hey, you could have a piece of media that has the secrets and has some deep lessons you can get from it, and that's all well and good. But there's also a valid place for this doesn't have anything to do with it, but it fucking gets me in the mood and gets me hyped to fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. That's like Warlock a little bit. That's like that. Yeah, it definitely puts me in that zone for sure. For sure. And let's be honest, horror movies, like, you're not supposed to like the bad guys. And when I do, that's when, that's one of my favorite, horror movies, honestly. That's why Hellraiser gets high marks. Because I watch Hellraiser, I'm like, yeah, but what did he do wrong, though? Like, He went after all the bad people mostly. Like this ain't a horror movie. It's only a horror movie if you're a bad guy. This is a good guy movie. What's wrong with you?
You opened the box and I came.
Yeah.
So what? No head?
I mean, sure, you know, in the first one, he kind of swings and hits the good guys a little bit too, but he's there for the bad ones, let's be honest. How do we know that the good people were really that good? Maybe they had bad in them too.
They're not evil. They're just neutral. Prove me wrong. That's my fucking Crowder table right there.
I'm going to go with the Barker trifecta. So Lord of Illusions, Hellraiser, and Nightbreed.
Nightbreed is one of those movies that I have fond memories of, but when I rewatch it, I go, "This is so stupid." Like, this is just...
it doesn't hold up. But I like I like the idea of, to go back to the good and evil discussion. You know, the Midianites are not evil; they're just living according to their nature. They were born that way. That's their role in the ecosystem. Yep. And bad guys are the ones like the Cenobites who are human beings who force themselves to become this thing. And in the comics, there was this whole big Cenobite versus Midianite war thing.
It's just another thing to look into. I mean, here's the thing: really good fiction. Especially anything with like occult mystical elements in it, isn't just like, I don't know, it's not just like a cool flashy story. It actually uses archetypes, and those archetypes are familiar to everybody from actual history and spiritual culture and all that stuff. So when we're watching pretty much any of these movies, the archetypes that are invoked are real. It's just the masks that change. And sometimes we put a good guy mask on a bad guy and a bad guy mask on a good guy. And we think that it's only a good guy when they look a certain way, act a certain way, and do certain things. But sometimes, you know, I'll put it like this. I remember when people were first, when Art Bell was interviewing Thunderstrikes for the Shadow People episode, that infamous one that I put in Shadownomicon I talk about. And Thunderstrikes talks about how shadow people are not evil, and I agree. They're more like maggots that eat rotten flesh from a wound. That's really kind of true. And you could say that, like Hellraiser, for example, evil is a motherfucker, but there was a role that they served in, as you said, the ecosystem of the world. That's why Clive Barker's got an interesting way of looking at things. He puts it interestingly. And then you have, you know, stuff that's just like gore, grindy shit. You got, like, you know, people bringing up Freddy Krueger and like Blade's bringing up Freddy Krueger and Jason. Yes, there's something there. Freddy Krueger, not so much, but Freddy Krueger represents, you know, dealing with traumas, dealing with, you know, things that wear the mask of a killer in your mind, you know, anxieties.
I'm gonna let you finish, but Dream Warriors is one of the best movies ever made.
No, that was one of the Freddy movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Wasn't that the one where they like fight back and it's actually kind of... Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. Oh, Stephen King's It. Another good one until you get to the very end anyway. Also a very good one. Ah, man, we could just go on and on. So.
And of course, Simon King of the Witches. We're all going to watch that together sometime.
I mean, you also have the come on, brain. One of my favorite trilogies. Oh, come on. Come on, fucking Christopher Walken as a fallen angel. Come on. Okay.
I know which one you're talking about, but yeah, I clearly need to watch more movies.
The
Prophecy.
The Prophecy. Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. I have a guilty love of the Conjuring movies too, even though like they would be like, oh, you're a demon, but whatever. I still have a love of their movies too.
Now, if we do TV, Twin Peaks.
I've heard that. I've never actually sat through the whole thing and got to where it's cool. Like, I know it's cool right away, but I've never really... Well, what about Dark Shadows? We're going to talk about something long. It's like, what, 8,000 episodes of Dark Shadows?
No, I'm going to strap you down like Clockwork Orange and just pour Twin Peaks directly into your eye holes.
I mean, I was there for it when I was a kid, and I watched like one or two. Like, this is weird and cool, but I don't get it. But I was too young, so it didn't really do it for me.
So
all right,
I'm gonna hit you with another roast.
Oh shit! All right, read it. I want you to like Shakespeareanize it if you can. Really Really laying
Aaron
in.
Dodson says.
No R's. You don't have to roll them. Just
I
saying.
like that in my R's. Aaron Dodson says, if you are any more contrarian, you'd shit in the backyard because everyone else does it in the toilet. Very concise.
I disagree.
Well, of course you would. You're proving him right.
Doesn't he go on? I remember him going on quite a bit.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. That's a paragraph break. Your philosophy is like the love baby of the Buddha and Nietzsche walking around into 90s hot topic. If you wear any more black, people will think they haven't unlocked you in a video game yet.
My favorite line of that whole fucking thing. That's my favorite. I love that.
Like
I told
you,
him, dude, like, oh,
wow.
man.
Non-dualism, a philosophy where someone who admits to narcissistic tendencies can reasonably say they are the center of the universe. Checks out. And finally, fuck you for both being conciliatory and argumentative. I check with my shadow. That's my job.
All right. There was some smoke from a few fires in there. I appreciated them all. They were good. That unlocked the character one though. That actually, like, I'm reading like, yeah, making fun of the way I look. Yeah, making fun of this and that. Oh, but that's creative. That was actually, like, if this was like a fucking epic rap battles of history, that might have been the winning line, like right there. That might have been it. Like, I don't know if I can come back on that. Like, yeah, that was it. That was just
like I can't
give me the meme of the people going, oh, like that was the one.
Like, even if that was targeted at me, I couldn't help but say you won, like, and laugh with it. That's fucking great.
That's dope. That was a dope rhyme. I mean, it even knocked Eddie over. You know, Eddie looks like he's drinking. I'm not drinking.
I'm drinking.
Oh,
I mean, I'm drinking Mountain Dew. There's nothing else in it.
Oh, well, that's normal.
It's probably good. Mountain Dew. All that caffeine doesn't seem to make a good mixer.
My go-to drink in college was Mountain Dew and Captain Morgan spiced rum, and we called it a wee nip of courage.
A wee nip of diabetes. So we have a question from Lois Gorey, who I think might also be a newbie here.
Welcome, newbie.
I'm sorry?
Welcome, newbie.
Welcome.
A newbie must. Anubis.
Oh,
Anubius? Anubius.
Lois, Lewis. I'm suddenly wondering if I said that right. It's either Lois or Lewis. I don't know anymore. I can't read. Is there a real way to interrogate your shadow?
Integrate. I hope that was integrate.
Integrate. Jesus, I really can't read. Holy shit.
I mean, Eddie, would you mind?
Want to do my job?
Would you mind handling my lightweight and explaining what'll happen if you fucking try to interrogate your shadow?
I just picturing that scene from the Marathon Man. Is it safe?
Is it safe? But it would be reversed in roles, by the way. You'd think you're doing it to him. Nope. All right. Now, I mean, yes, I wrote a book on, I wrote Shadownomicon. And Shadownomicon does outlay a procedure which uses the theurgic method for basically evoking your shadow archetypes. These are shadow archetypes I identified. You may have different ones, but these are the ones I identified. They do exist in the collective conscious. I'm not saying I got them from Jung or anything, but I think that they're out there. If you look, everyone can relate to pretty much at least a couple of them, if not all of them. You can use those in a form of theurgy to evoke them into your space. And it's kind of like taking the carburetor out of the car to clean it. So you evoke these things psychologically, spiritually, magically, all of it together in a holistic way. You create or power up or empower the egregore that they represent, and you work with that to recognize. Theurgy is always a form of integration. You work with that to recognize within yourself this thing that you think is out there. You realize, I'm a little bit like that. The first step in any integration process, it's like, not that I advocate AA, by the way, but it's like AA. It's admitting you've got the issue. It's admitting that this represents you somehow. All forms of like if you're working with Zeus, the goal of theurgy with Zeus is to, here's an externalized deity that you think is out there, but the goal is to become like or recognize that you are like them so that at some point the internal and external kind of swap and merge, and there's no longer a dividing line. The same thing works with the spirits of Shadownomicon, the shadow people. Now, there's the urban myth of the shadow people, which this is deeply connected to, because I do believe that that is what they're seeing manifest in a spooky, scary way. You got to read the book to fully. Now, is that the best or only way? I wouldn't even say that. I wrote the book on it, and I'm not going to say that's the right way to do it, because for some people, it's probably the most dangerous way you can possibly try to do it. But there's a saying that came to mind immediately when I read this question. Is there a real way to integrate your shadow? You want to know 2 ways? You either stand in a light that's so blinding there is no shadows, or you go into the darkness so that there's no light and you don't have to see a difference. This is not just a cool picture and a snarky thing to say. It's the realization that absolute brilliance and absolute darkness are identical to one another ultimately in there. You can't see an absolute brilliance and you can't see an absolute darkness. There's no difference. They're both blinding. They're both the abyss. They're both it, that the ineffable. So enter into that ineffable state, the Gnostic state, samadhi, and you can't help but integrate shadows, at least in that moment. And then in that moment, you come back from those experiences, just like someone who's like taking psychedelics comes back from it and goes, what the fuck? And then they try to integrate that experience. You integrate that non-dual experience in your mortal, everyday, egoistic life. And it's a process and it never ends. It's never supposed to end. You're never supposed to be, I'm done. So there's no real way, if your question is to absolutely integrate all shadows. I don't even think the Ascended Masters did that. I mean, let's pretend Jesus was an Ascended Master and existed, for example. Motherfucker was still tempted in the Garden of Gethsemane. Motherfucker was still fucking scared. Motherfucker still went through it. Buddha was still suffering in ways. No, maybe he didn't suffer in that. I mean, true, he didn't suffer according to the scripture, the way it's described, but he still underwent trials and torments and things that, if we're being legitimately honest, he probably made mistakes too, that were based on shadow reactions. But of course, they write only the good things, right? Yeah, we always take these things so literally.
You can't tell me those guys didn't have one day where they're just like, oh, I love Taco Bell, but oh God, I'm going to have the shits tomorrow.
Right?
Your bloodline is weak.
Oh, Behemoth gave me a roast. We're going to have to read Behemoth's roast on there. I think he gave me a roast. Let's copy that down, get it in the list.
Oh,
he roasted me.
Already done.
All right. So, all right. So, yeah. So we're here to celebrate and have a good time. While we're doing that, I've got a new product, which I mentioned earlier. This is a limited run for now. I want to see if people like it. And they are Trinity medallions. They're pretty reasonable. They're stainless steel. They're on my Etsy. I told you guys they were coming. Well, they're here. If you want to support me tonight and you don't feel like giving me a super chat or something, check it out. You'll get a thing in the mail and you'll have a thing that represents something that I talk about. For those of you who have worked with or read Become the Maelstrom, the Trinity of Self is fully explained in that book. So this is kind of for the fans more. It's not like everyone's going to know what it is. It's not a pentagram, but it has basically, if you understand what a pentagram is, this is kind of like that. It's a very similar concept. It is a diagram of the whole. It's like the Baphomet. It's another symbol for that. So for those of you who are interested, they are in the Etsy. Maybe they're a little too specific and no one's going to want it, but if you guys like the symbol, it's in there. It's in there. So check out the Etsy store, and there's 10 of them. Yeah. We'll see how long they last. Maybe a day, maybe 3 months. I don't know.
I fucking love the symbol, especially because it's so nice because you can like, I guess I'm kind of plugging you, but not trying to, like, you can fucking wear it out and shit, and it's just like, it's catchy enough where it gets eyes, but it's also, you can be a little covert with it.
Yeah,
like,
people
it's
don't
not,
know what it is.
Yeah, it looks inherently magical, but it's not like, you know, wearing a fucking pentagram outside or something like that. Yeah. You'll get some weird looks from some people with that shit.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, look, I get people occasionally go, why do you get commercial? Well, look, motherfucker, this is like, you know, like my part-time job on the side that I do. I'm not rich, man. This ain't for riches. This is for, hey, you know what? I think I'd like to eat something besides ramen this month. I know. Let me sell a new book or something. So relax. This isn't like, you know, fucking super mega church or some shit. This is a different process here. We put a lot of effort and energy into these things. Trust me. So.
And Wyatt.
I mean, even
Why-
Eddie bought my books. Even Eddie bought my books.
Wyatt
Just
says you guys should try necklaces.
That is a necklace. What's wrong with you?
And by the way, thank you, Jay Sauber, for the super chat. Appreciate you as always, dude.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Appreciate you, brother. All right, so there's that, especially for those of you that like to buy crap. There it is. We'll bring it up again later. Pretend this is PBS. Do you get mad when PBS says, well, if you like this show, please call in and give us $29.95. We'll give you a tote bag. This is a tote bag, all right?
That's what we're missing. We're missing tote bags.
No, and not just that, we're missing like the line of people in the background pretending like they're talking on phones when really they're just talking to their Aunt Sally or whatever the fuck it is.
Still need the phone to talk to Aunt Sally.
Shut up. Don't make fun of my logic. It's wrong.
I get what you're saying, but I have to call you out sometimes. I stay quiet other times, which is important, like when you got the Boots Void wrong.
Why? What was it supposed to be when I said Boots Void? Was it Buddhist? Booties?
No, it's I'm not sure if I got the pronunciation correct. That's not important, but you.
How did I get? What did I get wrong about that?
It's not a void. It's
Yeah,
not.
it is.
It's not a void like that.
What?
Like there's still shit
What?
in it, man. Just a lot emptier than the space around it.
I think it's Bowodes, by the way. Bowodes Void.
I don't know. It's like you just gotta like make your tongue stupid when you say it, and that's how you pronounce it correctly.
Yes, but the point was it's so empty. Like it is really
No, I
that
know.
empty. It's just that if you go pretty much anywhere in it, it's so empty that you won't see any light unless you're like around something that's obvious. If you go in the middle of it, wherever the middle of the emptiness is, you ain't seeing shit. Like it's like you might as well be in a cave. Like there's no light that you can see with human eyes. You need a telescope to. So unless you're orbiting one of the few galaxies in it, you're not seeing. It's not like here where it's like, oh, I can still see a galaxy over there. It's so far. Anyway, we're gonna split hairs. It's gonna be stupid. Believe me, I know because I got the idea from the Buddhist, the Bowotes, the
Booty.
boot crack, the booty void, the ass. The void is in the ass, right? Flesh, right, Eddie? The void is in the ass.
I'm a Wario boy.
I'm so confused.
Shut up.
Oh, good. That means it's working.
All right, we've derailed the stupid.
So, you know what? I'll get back to the Facebook ones, but I'm gonna read the 2 roasts that came from people in chat right now.
Oh boy.
Wyatt Coverdale says, I've got a wholesome roast. If Thorne were to lose any more weight, he'd devolve into a wild Yepsen.
I don't know, man. For a hot minute there, I was gaining it back because I rediscovered peanut butter, and a little bit of peanut butter is okay, but I didn't have a little bit of peanut butter. I basically was like Winnie the Pooh with a jar of honey with the peanut butter and just glommed it down my throat for a while, and I think I gained back 10 pounds. I think I'm back to about right, though. I think I'm back to about where I started.
No. Not where you started.
What is that? Well, no, where I started was like 6 pounds, 7 ounces. And, you know, I didn't even come out of a vagina. They had to tear me out of somebody. Like, dude, they literally, like I was a horror movie when I emerged. Like I was torn out. Like I was like, no, if this was like a few centuries ago, mama would have died. That's for sure. So yeah, no,
Fort
I was
Macduff was from his mother's womb, untimely ripped.
I mean, I was a Lovecraftian birth. All right. There was literally like, yeah, like it wasn't, yeah. I mean, there was thunder and lightning and all, according to my mom, there was like thunder and lightning and shit. It was bad. Like, I mean, I was the thing that should not be, to quote a,
I feel like that makes so much sense now.
It does. It's
like, how did the doctor not just go, you know what, there's bad omens about this today. Just put it back in. We'll pull them out tomorrow. We'll try later.
Yep. The blood was soaking through the mattress, according to witnesses. So it was not a pretty event. And that's probably why like a lot of bad shit happened from that direction of my life forward. So we'll just say maybe there was some you know, lingering.
I was breach. My mom reminds me of this every year on my birthday.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's always being reminded. You're always told how horrible you were.
But it gave me a motto, which is my life motto is I came ass backwards into this world, and that's how I intend to go out.
See, you should go. Well, okay. All right. Yep. Come out feet first. Yeah.
We also have Behemoth X says roast. Father, touch DH with your healing hands.
What was that?
I believe that your will is for DH to be well in mind, body, soul, and spirit. Cover
Amen.
him with the most precious blood of your Son, Jesus Christ.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Well, let me get the hat on. I think I got it over here. Let me get. Where is it?
Always busting out the yee cap.
Praise the Lord. I ain't doing that today. Nope.
We
Christian
said we
Thorne ain't
weren't
making
gonna
a-
go mega church with this shit.
I mean, we could. Well,
We are.
I mean,
We totally are.
I don't want to spill too many beans, but there is talk in the inner circles that I might be creating a sort of temple structure at some point, but it's probably not what you guys are going to think it is. So I don't know. We'll just leave that there and have people go, "Ew, he's turning into one of those." Yes, a little bit. You know,
There is
in a
no
good way.
cabal.
Yeah,
Like
there
a
is no
physical
cabal.
temple, because I might have to call OSHA.
Well, I already have one of those. I'm talking about we're going to be making a social spiritual temple for people of similar ideas. We'll put it that way. But I said too much. I've already overspoke what I wanted to say. So we'll let that fester, and people. Let's let the haters get ready to hate, and then when it's out, they'll be the first in line to buy the crap, and so they can talk shit. And yeah. But no, it's not for cult joining purposes. I'm pretty sure most people know me better than that. Although, I did sort of run a cult when I was younger. I mean, like legitimately, I didn't realize I was doing it, but then I did. No, it's meant to be. I'm already saying too much because I don't want to say too much and blow my load before I get it out. But it's meant to be basically kind of like a resource that will have formal and informal members. People can initiate themselves through it, self-initiate, do what's in it, utilize it, and drop it or keep going with it. Or you can become formal and have more to do. There'll be an esoteric and an exoteric element. So there'll be a lot going on. So we'll just leave it at that.
Blood-soaked orgies every third Tuesday.
No, don't forget that. Don't tell them the time, okay? At least don't tell them the time and the place. Yeah.
They gotta decrypt all the puzzles that we put out in the pamphlets. Only then will they know where to be.
That's actually not too bad an idea, except it's not really going to be that kind of a cult. It's going to be more like, Eddie needs you to. No, I'm just kidding. No, we'll you guys will see.
Bavarian Illuminati.
It's going to be very rational. It's going to be fairly open. The esoteric side, the reason it's esoteric is because it's meant to be personal at that point, not because it's meant to be hidden. Yes, Wyatt, age restricted. You can do the informal stuff though, Wyatt. That's fine. I gotta bust Wyatt's chops a little bit. It's not meant to be. Hopefully, it's going to be a little different than what most people have done so far, but I will be taking some ideas from some of the better ones that I see and emulating the things that are good about them, things that I think are going to help people. So it's not going to be you come into this thing, you join this thing, and then you're set in a clique that goes and attacks other people and crap like that. It has nothing to do with that kind of shit. It is literally
You mean
meant
it's
to be
not
going
to be High School 2.0?
It's not going to be that. It's
But
not
this
gonna
is
be
my
like that.
chance to finally be one of the cool kids.
Yeah, no, it's literally, in fact, if that's your intention for joining, we're going to sniff you out and kick you out. It's not like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's literally meant to be just a structured resource, okay, and a path that you can look into.
It's the
not meant,
breakfast club for magic nerds.
maybe, yeah. It's like the after school D&D club for nerds, yeah, for magic.
I like how you said we'll sniff you out. Like, what the fuck is that? No, what the fuck is that preacher that got famous recently for the like, we got a list of witches here in this congregation.
Oh, fuck.
Fuck. It's like the mirror of fucking that bullshit.
Kinda in a way. No, we don't want none of that shit. Like, this is like anyone. I mean, it's literally going to be like, fuck that. No, that's not going on. It never will. And if it does, it's going to be imploded and I'm just going to close it all down and it's never going to happen. So it's not meant for any of that type of dumb shit. So it's think of it kind of like this. I see RPS saying, I'm one of those anti-joiners. He's joined the anti-joiners. If that is you, it's not like you have to. It's literally going to be like, here's a resource. And here's all the stuff you can get that's available. If you want to utilize all of it, go ahead. If you want to make it more formal and show up and be like, hey, can we do some other stuff? It'll be there too. So like I said, I've already said too much. People will get the wrong impression. That's why I like even talking about this stuff. People will be like, ooh, because they already have preconceptions of what is meant. So that's part of the problem of it. What should we call it instead? Maybe we should just call it, well, what should I call it? I got Thorne Hub.
The Bavarian Illuminati, but you spell it Naughty.
That's been done though.
Okay, so I realize I'm approaching this ass backwards, but figure out a way to make the acronym NWO the new Warlock organization, maybe?
No.
Degeneration X. We're going old school wrestling with this.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's really going to be I don't know. I don't want to compare it to anything yet either. I want to get it more fleshed out. I've already got stuff written for it, so it's getting there. You know what it is also? I was writing and I have the book, coming along, and I'm like, do I just want to just release another book, or do I want to create something that has more to it? Free elements, a book, blah, 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 blah. Do I want to just create something a little bit more like long lasting, that's more than just a book, a flash in the pan, another Thorne book? Yeah, that's cool. I want to create something that's a little bit more useful to just the general. I don't know. My words are failing me, which is kind of unusual. More useful, It's
kind of one of those nights. It's the, it's the belt off night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a belt off night. I don't want to talk business. Fuck business. But I do want to brag about it. I'm into it. I'm excited for it. And people I've talked to about it already are really excited for it too. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, it's probably not what you expect, but it might be exactly what you expect. So, non-committal. Vague.
You're just proving the hate comments right. The fucking roasts, man. Actually, speaking of which, hold on. We've got... You posted them, so I can't even cross them out like I normally do, so I know I read them. Okay, so we've got...
I think we did Aaron last, right?
Yes. So, Nicoline Albrecht says...
Oh, Nicoline Albright. We like Nicoline Albright. She's cool.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, I forget. What's Flowing Fire, I think, is her YouTube. I forgot, something like that. She's cool.
Okay.
She does a lot of the paintings on her channel. Flowing Fire. Yeah, she does like some really cool... She's been on a few times.
Dude, I have such a hard time linking like people's names with their handles. Yeah. So I apologize. Also, I would not know how to pronounce that name.
You are not a truly dedicated follower of Thorne Hub if you don't know who these people.
She writes, of course, I totally, I feel like this, here? No, yeah, I feel like I started reading this and I feel like there was a post before this that didn't get posted. Anyway, she writes, of course, I totally missed the mark, not reading the entire post. That's because D.H. Thorne writes such long posts, I usually fall asleep before reaching the midsection.
You guys are supposed to be roasting me, not literally complaining about me. What the fuck? I think that's accurate. I don't think I ever say anything quick, and when I do, it's like way too way too short. I don't know.
Who doesn't write short? Stephen Knight says, all right, apologies in advance, and to pedestrians hurt by proxy. He grabs the mic. Black magicians, I guess. There's only two classes you can pick. Cracked out hobos with downtown underbridge Gnosis looking like extras from a cheap post-apocalyptical sci-fi remake, not even worth torrenting, or the slightly more prestigious class of your first-year high school emo fashion with a middle school drama queen bitch ego with more parental issues than Freud can come up with. Stefan, punctuation, please.
Yeah,
you're killing me.
Paragraphs too, a little bit.
Looking like the edgiest Walmart discount Crowley trying to stand out in the fruit and veggie supermart section and frighten the elderly as revenge on society at large. Guess you opted for a custom build of both for extra stats in social reject arena and with an attitude like you would demand a trial by combat for cheating at bingo night. Got a bigger Caesar salad mix of philosophies than an unwashed team Deepak
Deepak, I love that line. That's a great line. Is that a good line? That's almost up there with the character. Keep going.
Got a bigger Caesar salad mix of philosophies than an unwashed teen Deepak Chopra browsing through the philosophy subreddit, looking like a side quest mini boss that drops legendary hobo loot with rat poison, inedible cheese, and unidentifiable items rejected by local merchant for free. I try to imbue my roast with a bit of ego disillusion of Karanzan. Enjoy. Mic drops.
I think that one was trying a little too hard. I'll definitely give him props for the Deepak Chopra, and I told him that. I think Deepak Chopra was a good one.
Discount Crowley is going to be my new rap name.
I like that it doesn't really fit me well. I'm not even saying that to like be like, oh, it's not true. Like, I like the ones that got like a hit of like a little bit of like, ooh, that zinged. The Caesar salad Deepak Chopra is a little too accurate. It was a little too real. I like that one. That one actually makes me laugh. So I'm like, yeah, I could see that one. Definitely could see that. Now mix that, like throw some goth in there and you got me. That's like, yeah. Fucking teenage emo Deepak Chopra browsing through. Yes, I'm cool with that one. Yeah, I like that one. That's a funny one. All right. Yeah. Great.
Fucking. I feel out of the loop. I'm kind of afraid to ask, who is that?
Who's what? Oh, Deepak Chopra?
Chopra? Yeah.
Just look it up, dude.
He's on Oprah all the time.
Yeah, he's on Oprah. He's like, once upon a time, he was a little profound, and now he's just another handout. Give me money. You know, I'm not interested.
He is to spirituality what Dr. Oz is to medicine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah,
I'm still here. I'll be right back.
No,
you
you're
just
not.
put it in a way that I can digest. I feel a little bit bad. We need to drop something that's going to make Eddie chew at the bit. I could certainly drop some audio fucking bullshit.
I think Eddie's chewing the bed. I think he's just too polite to talk. He's just like, no, I just want to be here.
Oh, we'll fucking work that out of him.
Well, I mean,
Mama
that sounds
taught
like
me not to talk over other people.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
well,
on Thorne Hub.
Yeah,
Leave Mama at the door for her own good.
Well, I mean, Fleshy is into that. Well, you're with a halfway
Don't talk
Italian
about my
Long
shadows.
Islander who has ADHD. You're lucky I'm not hand talking you to death right now, motherfucker. We don't know how to shut up even when it's our turn. Figure that one out.
I will interpret the rest of the stream in Italian Sign Language.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. All right. Fleshy, guide us by the dick to the next thing.
Well, I don't have any questions that have been submitted to go to.
Oh, good, fuck 'em.
So I wanna just kind of generally ask you guys, I know a little bit more with Thorne on this one than I do with you, Eddie. Is there anything recent that's happened with your practice that you feel like sharing? Don't feel obligated to answer anything. Anything new?
Well, I'd say I'm back on my left-hand path Luciferian Gnostic mysticism bullshit. So
You left?
I feel
no, but I was more focused on this piece than it came back to this piece.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, as am I, at least from a thematic perspective, more than perhaps anything. But that's also where Eddie and I are like, sort of like, you know, I don't know, like we're merging into the same lane for a little bit, and with some of this stuff. So we're gonna be talking about that stuff in the future.
There's a lot more of the let's call it the spiritual development rather than the practical enchantment going on right now. Like, I feel, it's not that I've mastered it, but I feel like I know how to get shit.
Yeah. Like Adeptus is way back there, you know, trying to go for the next levels of stuff, trying to understand things, and eventually it's transcendent. And I think what happens is, like, people, you know, we adopt how shall I put this? We adopt the attire. We adopt the attire of different spiritual traditions and concepts. We immerse ourselves. in them. And we get used to them, we learn them, we get them. Some people live their lives staying in one. Other people, you know, we're a little bit touristy perhaps. We're a little bit, you know, combining.
Who,
ideas.
us? No, definitely not.
We're a little eclectic, shall we say. But for me, what I like to do, and it's already happened for me a long time ago, is I look around and I sort of realize that everything's saying basically the same thing, just in different ways. And so I'm looking now for the nuances that I'm missing. Like, what did this group miss that this group got? Because they're all basically saying the same thing. It's just, like I said about good and evil, the reflections of something else that's ineffable and whole. Like, neither one of them is right. They're both a reflection of what's right, of what is true. And all of these different metaphysical philosophies, the monist / non-dual, because they're kind of the same thing. Non-duality is a form of monism, and monism could be also argued to be a form of non-duality. They're all basically looking at an elephant and describing an elephant, but some are focusing more on the trunk than the legs and the tail versus the back and the ears and so on. And so they're all seeing the same animal. And they're all, I don't want to say they're all right, but they all have, like, none of them are exactly wrong. And when I look at them, I go, okay, so the Gnostics were Platonists and Neoplatonists, and also a little bit Hermeticism creeped in there. And Platonists and Neoplatonists were clearly mutually influenced back and forth with Vedic Indian metaphysical philosophy as well. People think of all these cultures from way back in the day as if they're on their own little islands in the middle of nowhere and they don't communicate. The reality is Jesus was hanging out with Buddhist monks in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, if you believe that mythology. They were there too. They were everywhere. So these groups were actually interacting a lot more than people realize. Same thing with the Vikings. People think, oh, they're just up there in their little snow huts and shit. No, they were a major trade network. They knew, like, if you look at their culture, they had shit that came from all over, even like Mongolian shit. They had shit from everywhere. The Silk Road was a thing, guys. So people don't realize that it wasn't just, you know, spices and silks and shit that was transferred all over. And we're not just talking about like 1,000 years ago. We're talking about 10,000 years ago, as far back as you can record history. And so there's absolutely a lot there that is bound up with each other. They influenced each other. And everywhere I look, every time I lift up a stone going, what do they know? I'm like, oh, there's your mystery school that does shit with psychedelics and understands a kind of monist perspective. Here's a group that didn't use psychedelics, but they used deep transcendental meditation. Here's a group that used a mix of both, and they did dancing and drumming. Here's a group, and they all had that ego disillusion, non-dual spark awakening moment, Gnosticism, samadhi, all of it, pretty much without fail, pretty much around the entire world. And most of the time, when we read like history talking about these cultures, when we talk about, say, for example, Native American, right, Aboriginal American, whatever you want to call it, we read their mythology and their beliefs. If we read it through, say, an English Judeo-Christian mentality, like we often do when we're growing up, we think, oh, how quaint. They believe in a great spirit and a turtle and blah, 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 blah. We don't understand what a lot of that symbolism was and how they felt the same unity of being with the divine that other cultures, like non-dual cultures, do. Yeah, there's a little different, maybe, influence here, a little bit of different interpretation there, definitely different symbolism. They would probably disagree if you tried to put them in the same room and talk about who believes what, but I think you can see how much they have in agreement with each other. And then you come to learn when you look at cave people who would literally go into caves, we'll say in northern France, for example, they go in these caves and they would have these far out mystical experiences that are basically like a sensory deprivation chamber of the Stone Age, because that's basically what it was. You'd sit in a cave, all lights would go out, you pop a few shrooms, and you'd find God in this perfect darkness. Dude, you're literally talking about a sensory deprivation tank. Not much different. In fact, some of these caves, you wouldn't even need psychedelics because they might have had gases like we're talking about the Oracle of Delphi and shit. You might have actual like nitrous oxide filtering in, and you're getting a little high just being in there. So there's something that is shared. We think it's different. We think that, oh, it's really fascinating how all these cultures have these really weird different beliefs. The skin, the overlay is different, but the foundation is mostly the same, like everywhere, surprisingly.
It's like Windows 95 themes.
Yes. Yeah. All these different religions are like, so once you understand that core nougat and nugget that is it, you can literally put any chocolate around it you want. If you want to be, use Hindu gods for your theurgy, you want to use Hellenistic gods or Sumerian gods or Egyptian gods or Luciferian archetypes or Gnostic archetypes, whatever the fuck you want, all of them pretty much can be utilized. And they will all potentially work. And they work really good if you use them the right way. And I feel like I'm getting there. I feel like I'm figuring out like a way, maybe not the only way, but maybe like, I don't know, like I love making plug and play. Like when I was doing programming, I liked creating things where you just had to plug in variables and you didn't have to like rewrite the whole code. It was just write this and then that changes what the code does completely. And you have one code that does everything, not always the most efficient, but it was very easy to work with. So like that, I like making things that you can plug stuff into to do it your way. I don't know. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself.
I think Alan Chapman's Advanced Magic for Beginners, I think that's who wrote it. But that's literally its approach. Is like chapter 1 is you're gonna need a magical alphabet, so make one. It's basically the Golden Dawn lessons, but instead of them handing you, Hebrew, Hermetic, Gnostic, whatever, you just fill in the blanks.
And some of that is like I intuited, like when I put in Become the Maelstrom, here, create your own magical language, like create your own magical alphabet. There's a reason for that. And one of those reasons, actually, when I'm reading, I think it was Plotinus, actually, and it might have been, I forget who else it was. But they talked about how the importance of sigils or sigils or whatever you want to call them, things that you cannot...
Sigil.
No, that's actually one way that's correctly to say it. It sounds stupid, but it is.
That feels like the occultist GIF versus GIF argument.
It kind of is. I think we all like sigil
GIF.
better, but I think that some people would agree it's supposed
also,
to be
the correct pronunciation is Geif.
I thought it was Gafe.
It's Gape.
Anyways,
Anyways, I'm sorry. I fucking...
Oh, here we go.
Scared us off.
How many hours re-begun? So...
Time for the what we do in the shadows reference. GIF.
So linguistically, when things are linguistic, like here's the thing. I mean, I'm getting all over the place. I'm too goofy to be clear tonight. When we're talking about like true names, right? We're talking about true names. We're so stupid we think that literally means Bob, Sally, scissors, whatever. We're so stupid we think that literally means there's a blah that comes out of your mouth that is the true name of something. What that's actually talking about is closer to what Plato would describe as a form. It's a linguistic, intuitive language. So like, let's go with mathematics as an example. Mathematics, the logic of mathematics is actually intuitive. It's not numerical. We look at mathematics like I'm an idiot with numbers, but with logic, I have like an IQ of 150. I'm really good at it, but I'm really stupid when it comes to 1 + 1. I go, what does that little squiggle mean? I can't translate the language to the putting it together and the if else done, blah, 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 and intuitively figuring it out. So people confuse the numbers of math for what math actually is. And math is not numbers. Numbers is just the notation of math.
Numbers isn't the math. Numbers is how we define the math.
Right. Numbers is the notation of math. And language is the notation of, well, there's something there, right? It's ineffable. But it's not. When we say it's ineffable, that means you can't understand it linguistically with analytical thinking, but you can know it with just like if you go into a sensory deprivation tank and you blank out everything that would give you a sense of being, you can't feel yourself, you can't hear yourself, there's nothing, you're literally in nothing. You still know you're there. You still have a sense of being. That's not an analytical, intellectual mind. That is just an awareness of being. So this idea of like true names, people think it's my true name is Flardam. Sure. Okay, buddy. Yep. It's a word. I'm sure it's a word. I'm sure it's a word that can be spoken with a human mouth. I'm sure it's an utterance. I'm sure it's a sound. I'm so sure. Well, everything's vibration. That doesn't mean everything is sonic vibration. Sonic is just one kind of vibration.
Don't get me started. Everything is vibration is right up there with electro woo for me.
Yeah, we should get into the woo conversation now. We should definitely get into some of that. Like, that would be fun. So.
Oh, let's do it.
Do it. Let's do it.
Especially
Do it
idiots who want to argue about whether A4 should be 440 hertz or whatever the other fucking hippie number is.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm so happy that
what is that? That the golden
432
note
works for all of you guys. Yeah. It's bullshit. There's my hill.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, it's not, but I will say that that doesn't mean that that's not the ohm of the universe. It just means it doesn't mean all music has to play by that, by the way.
Yeah, like, if it does cool shit for you, good. I just think the entire theory behind it is...
Like how we have to transpose all music. I love that video. There's a guy who did a video breaking it down why it's wrong. And it's really good. It's really good.
You probably
literally no one can hear that.
That was
difference.
A very good video.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Eddie?
Literally no one can hear that difference. 8 hertz at 440 hertz. No one can hear that difference. You'd be hard pressed to show that difference on an oscilloscope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on the range. Like, you would be able to notice it. Like
in higher octaves, yes, the gap will be bigger because every octave you go up, the gap is essentially going to double.
Mm-hmm.
But your ears aren't linear, so you have to have a longer interval to be able to hear the difference between two notes.
Yeah, we got Eddie talking now. We're talking sound and shit. No, that's important though. I mean, and it's related when we talk about this. Everything is vibration. Of course, it's like when you have the people go, they try to sound smart. They don't know any of the first fucking thing about quantum mechanics, quantum physics.
Oh God!
They watched a few fucking, whatever specials, documentaries talking about quantum stuff, and now they think they figured it all out. Now, just give me a minute, because I am kind of like that, except I really try to learn it. I don't just, watch a couple of fucking Discovery specials and say I'm a quantum physicist. I know that it's really tempting to try to unify what modern science and spirituality do in a way that you can explain it with modern science. I know that's really fashionable and cool sounding. The problem is, if you really look, and I mean really look, you will find that modern science is actually catching up to the metaphysics of older cultures when it comes to the deeper foundations anyway. That doesn't mean that the ancient cultures knew how to build an airplane, but they had a better understanding of the actual essence of what reality was than science currently has. And science is actually catching up. This whole idea that, we went from reality is this physical thing, and then it's islands of matter in space, and then we're finding out space is not empty at all. It's actually a field of it's more like a flat thing with little bumps on it. There's actually something there. Okay, it's not empty. It's not nothing. Oh wait, and it turns out that every thing is actually made of that emptiness, actually. Like all of that stuff that you thought was nothing is actually what's making up the something. It's just more like a peak or a valley in a field that's vibrating. Wait, it's vibrating. Aha, it's all vibration. Well, wait a minute. Vibration is a perception that you have because of your limited ability to perceive it in the moment. What if it's more like marble, as an analogy? Imagine it's more like marble. So there's no peaks and valleys. It's your ability to detect contrast because of a certain... Here's where it's going to get funky because I don't have the language. Think of it like going with the flow of a river versus going against it. When you're going with it, you don't feel it. When you're going against it, you do. So if your physicality is going with the flow of something, it seems like nothing. If it opposes it, it appears as a thing. So when I pick up the green lighter, Fleshy, pick up the green lighter, you're actually in opposition to that material that is the green lighter because you're able to pick it up. Whereas if you were going in the flow with it, it would just disappear. there is actually a hyperdimensional block time multiverse of infinite potential around you all the time, in which all possible things exist, and they're not in a spatial plane distant from you. All spaces are actually one singular space. We see them, though, projected internally. I'm getting weird, but we're projecting it internally into a three-dimensional hologram. But it's all here in this one central singularity of being, the monad or the Brahman or whatever you want to fucking call it. But it's all here now. Every universe is here now. You don't see it because you're going in a flow, in a direction that only bumps into elements of it that sort of oppose you. That's the only reason it manifests. So to say that there is no green light, or there's only a detection, and that detection requires an opposition, and that opposition is what? And that's where it gets a little freaky. I'm going to cut the rant there, because I think a lot of people are going, what the fuck is he talking about? Maybe somebody who knows science better can help me fucking articulate it with pictures with numbers on the screen.
I want to say yes to CM Helnickian. The universe is the blockchain, and we are all but NFTs on it.
I hate that so much. If you bring up the universe and blockchains again, I will fucking append your ass to your elbow.
Oh, man. You know, I got nothing, because I'm still like an idiot with that stuff. Like, I don't know, like blockchain shit, you know? So, not my thing. I'm also looking like, oh my God, we got like a couple of trolls here. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
So, you know what? I think this might set us down a path of woo. And it's kind of a topic I like.
I mean, I know it sounds like I'm talking woo, but if you look, I'm not.
I feel like barbecuing some sacred cows.
Ooh.
Ooh, All right, well then, which one of these is going to be better? You know what? Andrew, oh no, you know what? I'm going to get a roast in real quick. I think I still got one more left. Christopher Larrent says, live stream starts at 11, but actually starts 12 a.m. Then rant about how cats lick themselves for 2 hours for everyone that thought they would learn about playing country music backwards would manifest everything they want. Oh, don't forget about buy my books in the last 10 minutes. And sorry, everyone left by now.
Christopher's cool, people. He nailed me on that one. He got me on that one. Like, that's something like I know that I do. Like, I know. I hate it too, bro. I hate me too. I know. I love myself enough to hate myself. It's okay. I know. Chris is cool. I like Chris. He's drummer. He's actually really, he knows this. He plays actually really fucking good. He plays really fucking good. Yeah.
So Andrew Kolsitz? I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Andrew says, secret society discussion?
No, I mean, I'm not in any. They always ask, and I go, I don't know.
That's the fun part. Is that you're in like 3, but they're so secret you don't even know about it.
Well, that's just it. They're so secret. I don't even know I'm in it. I've been told that.
What? I'm sorry. What did you say, Eddie?
The world would be a much better place if it was actually run by Masons. Really?
I don't know enough to comment on that one. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I think at one point it was. I mean, my flaky interpretation of a lot of this is what we would consider some form of. Here's where it's gonna get stupid, because this is probably not right. Some sort of alternative Gnostic Luciferian viewpoint was what helped. It either formed during or helped make the Enlightenment era appear in our world, and that was carried through secret societies into all the different countries, sparking revolutions, sparking the American Revolution, and then at some point they either dissolved, fell apart, got co-opted, or just lost their way, lost power. They're still there. Like, I know some guys. Like, I know a guy who seems to have quite the inner angle on a lot of this stuff. And it sounds like it's mostly just a country club for guys, but there is still a metaphysical current there. Hard to find though. It's like, it's no longer in the, like there is like secret societies in the secret society. There's like offshoots, there's other lodges, if you will. And some of these lodges are like the way they used to be, but they are not, they don't hold the power. I guess Eddie might know better. He does a lot more research on secret societies than I ever will. So he might be able to say like how far off I was on that one. But
every Mason I know is really passionate about one thing, and that's raising money for sick kids. And not asking for thanks.
That's interesting because I've noticed that too. A lot of the time but that's, I mean, are they just porch masons? Are they just the entry level guys? Are they the deep level guys? Like, I don't know. So,
well, this was back when you had to be 32nd degree Scottish Rite to be in the Shriners. Now you only have to be a Master Mason to be in the Shriners.
You mean like my great uncle who was a 33rd degree Mason and a Shriner, and they buried him at the fucking temple in Manhattan and all. Yeah. So, I mean, I'd like to know, but I got a little problem, or so I've been told, and that is I don't see the existence of a higher authority. And in other words, it's not an externalized one anyway. And
you can't be an atheist or an agnostic. In some jurisdictions, you also cannot be a Satanist.
So
I've got like a make shit up, man. Everybody does it.
Well, that's what he told. Like one guy told me to do that, and I'm like, sorry, I can't do that. I guess that means I believe in their rules more than they do. I guess. You know, it also depends on what you mean by atheist or agnostic too. I mean, the problem is some of these words get convoluted and mean different things to different people now. I mean, to me, I don't know if sometimes I feel like I'm an atheist because of my view on what spirits are. I don't believe in literal gods. So therefore I'm technically an atheist to me, personifications are masks for divinity, and there is divinity, but there is no God. How does that work? Well, you know, follow me to find out, because it takes a lot of explaining to get to that, without going around the non-dual mulberry bush for 3 hours. Yeah, I mean, how would I do in that? I don't know. You know, I've looked at what's publicly available, what Rosicrucians use and believe. I look at their literature a little bit. I look at their diagrams and go, oh, that makes total sense. Actually, I know what they're displaying there. I get that. Okay. That means that. I get that. Okay. And I go, I could see how they got something there. I could see how that would be involved. I could see what the Masons are talking about, especially if it is Solomonic in origin, you know, the builders of the temple and all that shit. I can see how there's something going on there. And I don't know. And maybe I shouldn't know. Maybe it's not for me. I don't want to join these mysterious cults when I already kind of know, like, the mystical part. Like, I don't need to join your cult to be told that I'm God. Like, I don't need that. Like, that's not, you can't make me God. I can't make you God. None of these cults can do that. But I do think that they're continuations of the ancient mystery schools. I do think that. They're just, when I say that, people have this assumption that all mystery schools agreed on things, and they didn't. There was different mystery schools that did things differently.
I would say reconstruction.
I like that.
In the same way that Wicca is an attempt to reconstruct, actual ancient witchcraft, or neo-paganism is an attempt to reconstruct, what our ancestors actually did. Although the two bear very little resemblance to each other in the particulars, but I think you can say generally that the spirit is the same. Yeah. That the worldview, the German word time, Weltanschauung is very much the same, even if the particulars aren't.
Look, I mean, if you want to understand what mystery schools are, remember what I said to you a minute ago about the people who would go into the caves and have a mystical experience with sensory deprivation and maybe a little bit of psychedelics. Now look up the Eleusinian mysteries, look up the Egyptian origin of this stuff, look up even the Sumerian mysteries, look at what they did, look at what we think they did. And it's basically the same exact fucking thing, just with more prim and prompt and drama, and they get more and more into psychopomp and all this stuff. More props and all this kind of shit, and they just They take something that shamans were doing with a couple of shrooms in a cave thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and they turn it into Shakespeare with shrooms in a cave. And to be fair, I'm not doing anything differently, except I've also discovered you don't technically need the shrooms. They just sort of validate what you can do without the shrooms. It's sort of like taking a car versus learning to walk. And I actually recommend that you don't fuck with the car until you can walk. You had better be able to walk before you fuck with the car. Now, if you're struggling, you can't make that connection, you can play with it. You could take the car. But like the guys that I ascribe to, like Alan Watts, it would be, can you get there without it? If so, then you use that to confirm or to deepen. Because
you got to learn the fucking roadways. You got to learn where the fuck you're going before you're screaming down them at 60 miles per hour.
I'd say yes, but it's also about building up the muscle. Like, technically, you can achieve the threshold of these things without those things. It's a lot fucking harder. But you can build up a dependence on those things, especially, I don't mean that in the chemical way, by the way. I don't mean addiction in that sense. I mean, if you can just drive everywhere, why walk? That is how people approach the use of these things. Now, I will say, though, that I'm not in any way condemning them. I think they're actually very valid and useful ways to do this. It's just, I see them more as a sacrament or as a medicine, not as a, this is the way to do it. I see them more as you don't need them to achieve it, but this is a way to do it in a really powerful way. Because I will say, like I said to somebody today in an interview that I was talking to them with, I said, you know what? I've had some pretty trippy experiences while meditating, but I've never done psychedelics. And I know for a fact that the trippiest things I've ever experienced in meditation, I knew that they were just a trippy sort of internal thing. I didn't go into like, where the fuck is my body? Like that doesn't, it never got that far. Whereas I think on psychedelics, that probably would. So it would probably be deeper. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't get there without it. I think that you can. It's just, I don't know if what I'm saying is actually coming through, but I'm sort of saying, I'm not trying to sound like I'm sitting on a fence. What I am trying to say is, I think that people are better served by learning it without it and then using it later as a confirmation. Because if for no other reason, to just to drop the shroom first, if you just drop the shroom first, you have no spiritual basis to understand what's going to happen to you. If you already know something, if you already got a foundation to work with, then you do the thing. Then I think you can make sense of the experience, because I've known people that didn't have any spiritual metaphysical foundation whatsoever, drop the thing, get their brain blown out, didn't know how to react to it, didn't know how to turn it into something useful. And they had to sort of go backwards. They had to work backwards back through it to get something out of it that was useful.
I also have not done psychedelics because they scared the shit out of me with my brain issues.
I'm not advocating, by the way, because this is a public stream.
In my own experimentation with chemognosis and in my observation of other people who engage in chemognosis,
and what's chemognosis again? Describe it again. I was tuned out for a second.
Getting gnosis with the assistance of chemicals.
Oh, got you. Okay, yep. I like that term. Is that a new term, or can I use that term in my writing?
I think Peter J. Carroll.
Okay, yep. I'm sort of familiar with. Yep, okay.
But the mistake I see I have made and see other people make all the time is they take too much, and end up completely overshooting what they're looking for, and being so blitzed that they can't remember it. So the hardest part about, call it gnosis, meditation, whatever, that headspace you need to be in order to actually do magic, the hardest thing to do is get there the first time, right? Okay. Because you don't know what you're aiming for.
You don't even know what it feels like.
Right. And so that's why the most important thing I advise people on is, when you do get there the first time, stop, right? Take a look around and find a way to anchor that to something else, a sigil, a gesture, something. So that then now you have a sigil. We'll use sigil as an example. Right.
I still am going to say sigil all the time.
That's your GPS coordinates. That's your pointer to that state, and you've created an association between that headspace and this symbol. And so now whenever you see that symbol, you know how to get to the headspace.
Yeah.
Gnosis is really useful for getting there the first time if small amounts, carefully. It's not, take a fistful of pills or drop a heroic dose of
like Timothy Leary and the
you need to be at least in enough of a state of mind to remember how you got there and remember what it felt like. But
the way I understand it is this, and this is just my intuitive understanding. I have nothing to base this on. I believe what these things do trigger a response in the brain which simulates a combination of death and sleep. So consciousness says, all right, this thing's shutting off. Let me go back out a little bit and go into my real self a little bit while this body is fucking tripping balls. And there's still enough of a connection between consciousness and the brain for there to be an imprint that happens. In other words, think of it like you're halfway in water and halfway out. You're still in it enough that you can actually do what water has going on, and you're in the air enough to have. So it's kind of like a strainer, right? So you're both in and out, and some of it sticks in your conscious gray matter versus your spiritual mind. That's how I kind of think it probably works.
To use the audio analogy, the first step, if you've never mixed, or we'll use live, if you've never worked with a particular person before, is sit your ass down and listen to them, right? And get that in your head of this is what they sound like. Mm-hmm. Then you go to the mixing board and make what you hear in here in your cans sound exactly what you heard out there. Mm-hmm. Then you take the piece of paper and you write down all the settings for that channel strip, right? And what too many people want is they want us to hand them the channel strip. Like, okay, set your EQ this way, set your gain this way, da-da-da-da-da. And this is how you work with a guitar. The problem is that you switch the room, you switch the player, you switch the guitar, you switch the weather conditions on the day of, and it's not going to be the same. It's not a recipe. Magic. Being a magician is being a chef. It's not being a cook, right? A lot of people can take a recipe out of their grandmother's cookbook and reproduce it, right? Step by step. That's not what this is. This is, you have to understand what things taste like.
I mean, I think it's really the music analogy or the performance art analogy is my favorite, because it basically saying you've got to feel your way through it. It's never the same twice. And when you're in the zone versus when you're not. And I will say, someone said and they're not wrong, but there's a nuance that maybe they couldn't say because of the amount of typing that they have to do, or maybe because they don't think of it this way. But I would like to say that when it comes to Gnosis or Samadhi, or this state of mind that we're talking about, this transcendent ego death experience, whatever, because there's different levels of it. If you look up Samadhi, there's like, seven different variants of Samadhi, and they're deeper ones, and there's less. So I only really worry about that threshold where you just kind of get it. Everything else is just like, you don't need it. Like once you go, poof, oh, I get it. Everything, I get it. Okay. You don't have to go so deep that you're fucking doing the 23 skidoo with fucking Zeus or something. You just need to be able to just, oh, I'm everything. I get it. You got to go, that feeling when you're going over a roller coaster and you start to lose gravity, you get that little, that's all you need. You don't need the whole, you don't need the rest of it. It's just that little, and then
you just need that moment where it's like, do I not have balls anymore? Where did they go?
Yeah. You just need but here's the deal, okay? Every single person listening to me right now, every single one of you, without realizing it, have actually experienced Gnosis and Samadhi many times in your life. You could say when you're going to sleep, that's sort of an obvious one, or waking up, that could be but that's not it either. No, that's not it. Not saying that's not it, but that's not what I'm talking about. You experience the threshold of Gnosis and Samadhi probably many times throughout the day. But because you haven't been taught to recognize it, and you haven't done the practices to recognize it, you don't know it. And you actually tune it out. In fact, I would even argue that Gnosis and Samadhi actually is the default state of consciousness. And the intellectual mind is the overlay. So, generally speaking, more than you realize, you're actually in a state of Gnosis more often in the day than you may realize. Mm-hmm. Not like deep fucking, I'm fucking seeing Smurfs everywhere Gnosis. I'm talking about just that perfect connection feeling. And you don't realize you're having it because that's actually scary to people who don't know what it is. People have been taught since the day that they were born that silence is death. And so when you experience a silence and the things that silence represents, you resist it. You don't want to be quiet in your mind because that's too much like death.
Scary.
It's scary. You don't want to experience that because it's too much like death and dying. Where do I go when my thoughts stop? Now, the absence of thoughts is not Gnosis, but the absence of thought is absolutely one of the better gateways to it. Because when your thoughts are quiet, and then you start distancing yourself from everything else that you think you are, you start to end up with, what am I then? And then when that question stops, and you're just sitting there in that state, that's it. You got it. Now, that moment for most people just feels like a blink. It feels like, have you ever been drawing something or writing something or making music or driving a car and time just fucking blows by and you're like, where the fuck did the time go? I thought I just started. Brother, you just experienced Gnosis. You just didn't realize it. You didn't pay attention to it. And so it was lost on you. When you can actually go there and be aware that you're there, time won't feel like time disappears. Yes, it becomes timeless, but you don't go, it was 2 o'clock, then it's 10 o'clock. You go, no, I know the whole thing happened. I didn't lose it, but I still felt like time didn't exist. It is a timeless experience. Yeah, go ahead, Eddie.
Let's get down to the real nitty gritty on this. It's hypnosis, right?
Sure. Hypnosis is this. Yeah.
So
they're
think
definitely
about
connected.
all of the things that you do in the day that you don't think about. Like you don't think about walking, right? You get from point A to point B. You don't think about how you're driving the car. But that's why so much of this starts with mindfulness, right? So
yes. Especially in the like in Zen Buddhism, that's why it is mindfulness is the key. Correct.
If you are walking from point A to point B, be in that moment. Think about the walking. Because what we're doing here, it's not that that's not the state where you're aware of everything you're doing and you're doing everything intentionally. That's not the state we're getting to. What we're doing is we're teaching your brain in Zen, right? It's being mindful about literally the simplest thing in the world that we all do and nobody ever thinks about, which is just breathing, right? Be mindful with your breath. Breathe with intention. Right? So that then, right, when you are doing this other thing, you can get into the state where you're not thinking about it, like your ritual. You're not thinking about all of the pieces that you're doing, you're putting it together. You're just doing it. Like you know your point A, you know your point B, and you're getting from A to B. And you're doing it intuitively. Your intention is all aimed this way, and all the other stuff comes along with it, just exactly the same way as if you're walking across, walking down the street. I want to go to the corner store, so I walk out without even thinking about it. I walk out my front door, I walk down the street, and I'm at my corner store, right? Magic's the same thing. And this is also where a structured system like, say, the Kabbalah or the Qliphoth comes in handy. Because what we're looking at there is, like you said, these different levels. They're not really levels, but, you know, different levels of
almost like layers on a piece of candy, but they're not
right.
either. It's like, yeah.
You're being introduced to them in an orderly progression that keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And then, you know, but with an intention. So you're learning early on in that first triad, you're learning sort of just how to do it, right? Then in the second triad, you're starting to get into that higher self stuff. And then in the supernals, you're talking about, I'm killing everything that isn't my higher self so that it's the only thing that remains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, you know, you can get a sophisticated and detailed Qliphoth, Sephiroth, the more Vedic ideas of samadhi with like the 7 levels and shit like that. You could do all that. You could also just go out into the woods, either drop something or learn to meditate and get out of your head. And that's also it too. So you're always God.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference? This is why people say, like, Thorne, how do you know you're God? You want to know how you're God? Shut the fuck up. Don't worry about it.
Be still and know.
Be still. Be still and know. And it's really not that hard. It just seems hard.
I quoted the Bible.
Yeah, well, the Bible ain't always like, that's been my integrated shadow of the last year is like, okay, instead of being, oh, that's my enemy. Wait a minute. No, my enemy might have polluted something that was wise in there and turned it into poison. But wait a minute. There's what we see as the Orthodox Bible is a political tool. That's not actual spirituality. It's a political tool to make the priest class wealthy and powerful. The spirituality behind it, the esoteric orders that exist, the mystical orders, the Kabbalah, the this, the that, and the Habaha, all these things are actually saying in a different way all the things we're saying. If I still believe I got to get my hands on a nice, I guess a Hasidic Jew, a Kabbalah, a legitimate, like I'm 50 years old and I've been doing Kabbalah for 10 years type of guy. I want to get one of them to just hang out with me and just shake his head, like, because, you know, I would be completely too irreverent for him. But I want to get him to sit there and shake his head and be like, you're right, but I want that guy. I want that guy.
The mental image you conjured within me of I've got to get my hands on him. Like, I'm just imagining you fucking.
Look, I'm only a little German. I'm not that kind of German, fleshy. I'm not that kind of German.
I wasn't even going. You read far too into that.
I said glass of juice.
I don't think he protests too much. I'm just saying, like, he's walking by. I don't know. He's going to the corner store or something. He's done this a million times. You just fucking. What we do in the shadows, lunge out of a dark fucking house. Get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Like,
Guillermo, grab him, Guillermo. We must bring him to the lair.
We will now talk about Gnosis. What?
Dude, have you guys watched? There's a channel I love, but only people who unfortunately are bookworms, and I'm not a bookworm, can really like the guy, I suppose. It's a channel called Esoterica, and the guy takes the deepest fucking dives into the most nerdy book topics of these things. And I would love to, like, he'd probably be one of the guys I want to bring on board a stream. He'd probably just be like the whole time, like, it would be an interesting experience for him.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
we're a trip. We're definitely the rabble.
We're the cavemen.
World. Yeah, I think we're beyond. I think we are like. You know, Jesus was down in the trenches, as they say. We're the rabble in the trenches who are going, we're God? Oh, fuck, come on, everybody. Let's go storm the kingdom. You know, like, we're those guys. I am
glossing myself right now, the rabbi to the rabble.
Yeah, the rabble-rousing rabbi. I like that better. That's the rabble-rousing rabbi.
I will quote not just the Bible, but I'll quote Jesus at you right now, which is, the kingdom of heaven is violent, and the violent take it by force.
Ooh. I like the one somebody posted somewhere today, which was a picture of the Baphomet with the as above, so below. And then the picture of Jesus, the exact same pose, saying, as it is in heaven, so, or whatever the fuck it is, on earth as it is in heaven. It's like, and there's somebody getting mad at the one and loving the other, and it's just
Yes.
What's something that you could explain in detail to somebody and they would completely agree with you until you name what it is, and then they will hate you for it.
I do love doing that.
To the fucking to the Christians in temples, I feel like it is Luciferianism.
Yes.
Will completely agree with it until you say what its name is, and to the people who wear all black and know what a Baphomet is and how a banishing ritual of the pentagram works and everything. I also think it's some of the more esoteric parts of Christianity.
Well, let's also reverse that argument. Let's also reverse that comparison and say, now go into the average left-hand chat room, okay, quote things that are, like you just said, it'll sound all Gnostic and heretical and badass. We're like, well, actually, that's a form of Christianity that was, stomped out. Go talk to them with Gnostic Christianity. Be like, well, Lucifer rebelled against God and came in the spirit of true divinity to reveal to you your divinity, and this is your... Oh, yeah, I believe you. Yes, preach, preach, preach. Yeah, that's a form of Christianity, actually, that was stamped out by Ortho. No! And, like, you will now get creamed by all these, demonolators, and it's just fucking hilarious.
I'm not interested in being creamed by a priest.
I gotta get a drink. I'm getting a drink. Let me put you guys on blast. I'm getting a drink. Eddie, you did it.
You know what?
I win
I'm
the
having
stream.
fun with the mental image until you said that, Eddie. Like, damn it. We both went to the same place. We're at different churches. And I'm sorry for the one you were at.
My wife wanted me to stay here and stay red. She's getting me my drink. Can I have a cola? I need a little bit of caffeine. Thank you. She's such a sweetheart. She's my
Camilla's
little...
so sweet.
She is. Except for when she's not. She's still sweet, but then it's like,
Well, that just makes the times when she is sweet all the sweeter.
Imagine an ice pick with sugar on it. Ah!
Oh, okay. You know what? I could take another lobotomy. That one wasn't so bad.
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than have to have a frontal lobotomy.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Okay, what kind of hour are we on? How many hours have we been doing this as I pick my nose right?
We have been in call for 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 5 seconds.
God damn. We didn't even get to the point of this stream yet.
There's a point.
There's a point.
Buy our crap. It's been a hot minute. If you look in the chat, you will see a pinned comment to my Etsy store that my wife runs with a whole bunch of new medallions, pardon me, that look like this and are based upon the Trinity of Self from Become the Maelstrom. And it is actually a really good symbol that is very similar to some that you've been using. But if you're familiar, I really wouldn't buy it unless you know what it means. So check out Become the Maelstrom as well. I don't know if I have a copy of it sitting here. I've put the rest of them in my ritual room, so I don't have one here. But it's my original book on magic, which will be getting, well, updated's not the right word, but it's still valid. It's still got some good stuff in it, and it still forms the basis of a lot of my other books. So, yeah. So if you're interested, check it out. I don't expect to sell 1 billion of these, like my wife's beautiful mirrors. Those things, like, we couldn't keep those in the store for more than like 3 days when she first started putting them out. Now I think we kind of saturated the market now, so I don't know.
Those things are fucking badass too.
Maybe
I see why
wasn't
people.
the right thing.
Caffeine is always a good choice, except for when it's not.
Yeah, I mean,
I actually started reading. Become
That's
the Maelstrom.
dangerous.
So
Eddie's gonna be like, I hate your book.
it's great. It's good.
Wait,
I didn't
which
like,
one
I
did
didn't
you
believe
start
that great.
reading?
No, that was the like, like when someone like makes you dinner and it's like too salty, you're like, no, it's great.
No. I mean,
Wait,
I'm only like a couple of pages in. So
Oh, okay. So
I didn't catch which
you'll
book
like
did
my
you
newer
start
ones
reading?
better.
Become the Maelstrom. I
Oh,
bought
okay,
it.
yeah.
I figure might as well read it.
No, you'll like my new stuff better anyway. My new stuff's way more on point.
What a fucking artist. Yeah, but the new stuff is better than the stuff that everybody knows before.
It just is. When I first started writing that stuff, it was actually sort of like an attempt to reconstitute my old journals into something I could put out as a book. And basically it is it's good stuff, especially for people that have zero understanding. It's not bad. It'll get you there. You know, it's like, it definitely has the basics. And that's what was important to me, was that one thing I can't stand when I read books on magic is the author assumes that you already know how to turn a light switch on from a culture that's never seen a light switch before. So they'll tell you, meditate on this. Well, what the fuck do they mean by meditate? They'll say visualize. Well, what do they mean? Especially if you can't visualize. They'll say all these kinds of things. So I wanted to really kind of help people that were coming at this from the idiot zone. And I mean that nicely. I mean, because I was an idiot once too.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Who don't know how to turn a light switch on. So imagine reading a book 10,000 years from now, and there's no such thing as light switches anymore. And you're reading a book and it's like, and Fred turned the light switch on to turn a light on. They'd be like, what the fuck does that even mean? I don't understand what that meant. So that's kind of what the problem is when you're reading grimoires and things, even from modern occultists. They don't tell you what anything fucking means, the basic shit I mean. They don't tell you how to scry and what they'll say, now stare into the thing and shit will happen. Why? What am I looking for? How does that work? Visualize this. Why? What does that mean? How does that work? So I wanted to really, and I'll do that in my future books too, especially if there's anything that kind of replaces Maelstrom. So that was kind of what I was trying to do. And I was also trying to take, I'm not going to say everything I knew and put it in one book, but I was trying to take a really good snapshot of fundamentals and put them in one book. And I think it came out pretty good for an idiot that never wrote a book before. I was proud of it. I still am in that way. Shadownomicon, I think, is more concise and usable for more advanced people for sure. And same thing with the Infernal Vampire book. But the book I'm working on right now is sort of taking everything I learned in writing and what people sort of know and have learned and so on. And I'm sort of demystifying it even further, but it's going to sound way more mystical, unfortunately, but it's going to be a little bit more sense, I think, because it's going to be less. I think what I'm getting at is Become the Maelstrom was still a little materialistic in its approach. I still saw things from a do magic, get money perspective. And I was weaning myself away from that. Now I understand that magic and sorcery doesn't cause things to happen. It's not even acausal. Everything already has happened. So what is happening with magic and ritual is it's really a way to highlight the miracles that are already going to happen. Think of it that way. The things, when you do a ritual for $1,000 fucking dollars or whatever the fuck it is, and $1,000 happens, you didn't make that $1,000 happen. I'm sorry. That really sucks. Your ego wants to think it did, but all you actually did was do a ritual that highlights synchronistically the $1,000 happening. So there's a message. It's actually a form of message. It's actually a form of really advanced synchronicity. And that the purpose of that is actually to recognize that you're always doing that. So even something silly like I spilled a soda on the floor is an act of divine will being carried out. Realizing that, because as you align more and more with your divine will, and your ego's more and more aligned with that divine will, and you realize that they're one and the same thing, but the ego, just like I said before when I was talking about to pick up a lighter, you have to be in opposition to what the lighter is made of. Your ego, to be the ego, must be in opposition to what is in some way. In some small way. It has to say, I don't like that it's hot. What does that even fucking mean? It is hot. And you are the heat. You are God. You're the whole fucking thing. You don't like that it's hot. Why? Because you resist that heat. You resist the reality. So, anyway. I'm kind of wound up tonight.
It's the Tao, but you are the Tao.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. And magic is just a way to highlight the eddies and currents in the Tao that you're meant to notice and go, oh shit, I did that. That's what it's for. So this is why people get really weird with me. Maybe that's why I don't sell as many rituals as I used to do, because people come to me like, can you bring back my lost dog and the $1 million that Papa said I'd have and my ex-wife and blah, blah. And I go, no, that's not what I do. No. Oh, so you're just a self-help guru. If that's what you want to think, go for it. But that's not what I'm doing either. So what the fuck are you? I'm a sorcerer. Well, what's a sorcerer? Well, a sorcerer is somebody who did magic and premonition and divination with lots, which means someone who basically revealed the will of the divine. Oh, you mean you're worshiping God? No, I am God. And so are you. And it's a whole bunch of misconceptions that I untangle for you. And by the time I'm done, you probably don't want a ritual, because I'm probably just going to say what your higher will really probably wants anyway. And you're probably just going to go, oh, well, I guess I don't need a ritual then. Yeah, probably not.
Ooh, so I want to, before I forget, I want to wrap up the last of these roasts. I'll kind of rapid fire them.
Oh shit!
And then
yeah.
I've got 2 questions that we got in that I've been sitting on. I want to read those out and give Eddie the opportunity to pick which one he wants to talk about. Or maybe the third option of just anything else. So here we go with some of the roasts. They're a little bit scattered. So, okay. Ein Seraphinx says, and this is roasting DH. Ein Seraphinx says, white colonizer with a ponytail and glasses gets triggered about a Facebook comment and writes about it with fingerless gloves on Facebook asking for comments.
Ow. One fingerless glove.
Gloves. That's
fingerless glove. Like, get right. That is below the belt. Look, that was type cool in the 80s, especially if you liked anime. All the best anime characters had fingerless gloves. You know, go watch some Akira, you'll understand.
I still need to watch that. Christopher Lawrence says, nope, I'm sorry, I read that one already. Will Sharman says, roast time. What has done more damage to pursuing the left-hand path? 2,000 years of Christian propaganda or the cringe of D.H. Thorne?
I think they were trying a little hard because I know that I'm not cringy. I know that I'm just wonderful. Am I cringy? I might be a little cringy. I don't know. I definitely try to be cringy sometimes.
You know, the real Chads embrace their cringe.
I mean,
and recognize it.
I just want to, I was going to say, I don't always recognize it though. So I don't know if that counts for me. Maybe I'm more of a cha. I'm a cha.
I'm a cha.
I'm a cha.
A chadgen.
Sigma mindset cringe.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's better. Yeah.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know, but
I
you
was
just
about
perfectly.
to ask.
But I think I exemplify Sigma mindset. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. Sigma cringe.
God. Eric Martin says, roast, huh? D.H. Thorne is a closet rightist left-hand path narcissist with a bad haircut. Winky.
You know what my problem with that was? There's nothing closet about my right-wing philosophy. It's just not that right-wing. That's not the Nazi guys. It's the fucking libertarian guys. Like, stop it.
That's the one that I would say, you say that like those are bad things.
Yeah, like you say like all those are bad things. Like,
and who also sent a winky face with their roast is Jen Vatz says, at least I live in the hood.
I did. I don't anymore. Yeah, no, she got me. Ding. Oh, man. No, you know what it is? You know what was funny? I responded to all of those, and I responded with like a GIF, and I did it, tried to be in like a funny way. And there was people who actually thought I was mad. And I'm like, why would I be mad? I literally said, roast me now. And I literally, like, I literally
asked for this.
Like, I literally asked her, if you think I'm mad, like, you guys are insane. I guess you don't get the tone. You know what it really is, though? And this is why it was fun for me. When they have that reaction, I'm not actually incredulous. I totally get it. Because when someone is roasting somebody, they're trying to say things that are a little true, but not in a bad way. It's like saying, Fleshy, what's with the fucking 3 eyeglasses? They're so ridiculous. But it's like, that's partially what makes you cool, too. So it's like, it's not... But it might. Wait,
what do you mean? I thought the glasses were cool.
See, that's what I mean. So it's kind of like when someone is roasting you, if they're actually your friend, the person who's actually going out on the limb is not the one being roasted. It's the one doing the roasting, because their job is to say something that is potentially insulting, but say it with love. Right? That's hard. I can't do that. I can't roast people. When I roast, I guess because maybe I'm a narcissist. I don't know. When I roast, I'm like legit talking shit. Like I can't, it's not that I hate you for it. It's just, I go, yeah, that's fucking stupid. I'm going to make fun of it. And then I go, wait, I can't say that because that might cut a little, that might come off as like, I mean it. I did a roast once where my friend, who was like one of my best friends at the time, I spent like 10 minutes just calling the guy an asshole. And I meant it with love, but it's like, yeah, it didn't sound like love. When I listened to it, like that sounded like I was legitimately mad at him. So I'm not good at roasting people. I'm not. Like, this is one of the reasons I don't do rank out contests, because somebody's gonna get their feelings hurt, either me or them, you know.
Oh God, now I feel like this can't be on an actual stream, but like on a Discord call or something. I'm just gonna have you roast me.
I don't think I could.
Man.
I
Black Magic Roast Club.
It's basically like that fucking some Scientology, maybe both, do that thing where you basically get locked in a room with a bunch of people who know you and fucking attack everything that you're vulnerable about until
everybody gets a buffer.
Yeah. Hopefully the stream's all right because you guys just froze for me.
Yeah, it jiggled, but I don't know if the stream went away, but the Skype did for a minute.
Okay.
So,
okay, I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
No. Okay. I still see comments
I just want
so
I just want to say for any of you who were here for the roast on Facebook, if you wondered, like that was literally shadowboxing. Nothing hit me. Like it was literally just I laugh, and it's useful to me to know like what do people think is funny about me, because some of that stuff is endearing to me. Like it really doesn't. It's if it's said with love, it doesn't bother me. Like it really doesn't. Like it genuinely doesn't, because there's certain things that I don't notice that I do. You know, like when someone says, oh, you don't like drama, but you're always posting about it. I'm like, yeah, but they got a point. I kind of do that, don't I? I don't like drama. I don't like to make a big deal of drama. I certainly don't like to engage in it, but boy, do I comment about it more often than maybe I should. Not wrong. Am I insulted? Not in the slightest. In fact, that's useful to me. I have to ask myself, does that matter? Do I care that I do that? If I don't, then it's actually really good. If I do, then I change it.
A roast is kind of a compliment in a way too, because it's like, wow, you're revealing thing, like you care enough to pay attention to me and reveal the shadows that I am ignorant to. Or maybe, you know, I don't pay them enough attention as other people do. Like, wow, thank you for revealing that.
Yeah. And that's true. And it's almost like an intervention in a way. And if you have enough self-awareness, you'll know which ones were real but said with love and which ones were just stupid. And like, you know, like I said, some people try too hard. I'm like, well, I can tell that was just like they're just stringing words together to make me sound bad, and none of that applies. But that one though, ooh, that.
Speaking of which, I got two more here. One of them's literally, two more roasts. One of them's literally close to home. We have Wyatt Coverdale with the second roast says, it seems like Thorne can't take a single step outside without looking like a Michael Jackson Thriller extra. He's so goth, he's fucking transparent. And
I mean, it's properly said, I'm so goth I fart bats, or I haunt my own house, or something like that. Yeah, I'm so edgy I cut myself. Like, I'm good with those.
And from Camilla, DH's Italian hand talking is so animated, it could be dangerous in person. You better learn to duck.
I knocked somebody out once just by putting my coat on. It's pretty fucking funny.
Okay, so quick. Yeah, stop that.
Yeah, Eddie, you just be my Italian translator, but for the deaf Italians. Just, and I'll just go boopity boppity, huh?
It's okay. They won't be insulted. They don't speak English. The people who live in Italy won't know. So 2 questions, and Eddie, I'm going to throw this to you. If you want to, I'll let you decide which one we talk about. And hey, if you want to choose the third option and talk about something completely different, that's all good too. So,
hit me.
So from Jasonius Arcanum, speaking of sigils, have any of you guys ever drawn out a sigil that is only known to you, and then ask yourself, why the fuck did I draw that? And from the Hardcore Zombie says, why do people resist death?
Ooh. Let's do the first one. Yes. Occasionally. A lot of times when I'm doing an evocation, especially the first time, with a particular spirit, I'll get a sigil. Although I do have a lot of, I don't know what this means, but I also know that it was within the context of the download that I was getting from that spirit. Am I still alive?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I was digesting.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know. Maybe this is just speaking from myself. Thinking about it, I don't know if I've really talked about this with others, but I think this is pretty universal for everybody, that you just do stuff for yourself sometimes, and it's not meant to go out anywhere. It's just a personal little like, not fucking everything needs to be shared or needs to have some greater tie-in or anything other than, you know, just the personal little cosmology.
So the question
and
was,
that's old school, especially in Solomonic, like in the grimoire tradition. The idea was that you would have a spirit book, and essentially every time you would work with the spirit the first time, you would automatic write some sigil for that spirit that is just yours. That's your sigil for that spirit. You know, so like the one in the ones we all use from the Lesser Key, that's like the cold call phone number. That's not the direct line.
there are some who would agree that you should probably find your own sigil for each one at some point. You don't have to, but it's probably a good idea.
I don't.
You're saying they're the Miss
But you
Cleo of
probably
sigils.
The what?
They're the Miss Cleo of sigils. It's just they're always waiting. They'll take your call for a nominal fee.
Yeah, you're getting their whatchamacallit, their secretary. So the question was, I just want to reflect on the question. So the question was, have you ever drawn a sigil that you don't know what it is, right? Basically, or what was it?
Again? I don't think it was necessarily so much about that you don't know what it is, but more just that it's only known to you. It's not a, public sigil. And you find yourself in a state of, why did I even just do that? But reading between the lines of his question, I do certainly read it being an unknown. Like, I don't even know what this means other than raw intuition.
I would say one thing. This goes back to that linguistic comment earlier about people misunderstand the idea of true names being a word, an utterance. Even gibberish, like speaking in tongues or some shit. Sigils aren't meant to be linguistic. They're not meant to be. You're supposed to bypass the linguistic element completely.
Yeah,
and
that was.
Fleshy, go ahead.
That was like kind of the whole purpose between sigils as we understand them in the, chaos magic sense, was to bypass all that fucking bullshit and speak directly to your intuition.
Well, the thing that they get wrong is that they're putting the cart before the horse and saying, oh, the analytical brain has to talk to the intuition and force it to do something. I know that that's maybe not what the core chaos magician, like the ones who wrote chaos magic, but that's how it's practiced by most people. Which to me is silly, because the intuition is what caused you to do it all in the first place. It's like they're putting the car. You can't make your analytical brain do anything. The analytical brain is a responder. It's in other words, I should put that together. The analytical brain can't make the subconscious brain do anything. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. Everything in neurology shows us that your subconscious makes all the decisions and the analytical brain responds to them. Sometimes it vetoes, yes, but it cannot shape the subconscious mind. I can shape your subconscious mind with what I say, but you can't shape your subconscious mind with what you think. Your subconscious mind has to do it first. I know that sounds crazy, but you have to realize you kind of have two people in your head, and one of them has been suppressed by the Western analytical side of your brain. And it's literally saying, I'm the boss because I got the language. You're going to listen to me. You're going to do what I say because I communicate and the whole world listens to me. You're just the little child that's still stuck in the ball of the brain thing. Well, your subconscious brain is actually the thing that connects you to your higher consciousness, period. The subconscious side of your brain is literally the doorway through which consciousness really interacts with the system. And it's actually the first part. It's actually closer to your reflexes. It's closer to everything that is what matters. The ego is in the left brain. The soul, if you will, would be in the right. That's not really accurate, but that's sort of like what you would say. It's a bad analogy, but it is one. So the idea that you can analytically control your subconscious mind by analyzing the shit out of something and talking about it over and over, and then bypassing your conscious filter to reach your What caused you to make the sigil that way in the first place? Your subconscious. So what you're really trying to do, if you really want to know what you're doing, it's not speaking to your subconscious and some psychobabble bullshit. I hate to be rude about it, but it's actually getting your conscious brain to shut the fuck up long enough, like pretend your conscious brain is D.H. Thorne in your head all the time. Blah, 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 blah. You're trying to get him to shut up. That way the subconscious can actually be known in a Gnostic sense.
I feel like
I know
you're
a way that
slow.
you can get your analytical mind in control of your subconscious.
Oh,
Gotta grasp my cans though.
Oh shit, no.
I was waiting for that. I was triggered a little bit earlier when you talking about cans. I thought you were gonna start to
But
on that.
Eddie, if I choose to grasp your cans, it's because my subconscious chose to go that way. So ultimately, the chicken farted, the egg came out of the chicken and the chicken and the egg, okay? They both...
No, that's literally why they put the picture of the volcano on the cover of that book, because it triggers our reactive mind memory of getting nuked in a volcano, and we just buy the book and accept whatever it says is truth.
Yeah, interesting. Sure makes for some good mind virus.
I was gonna say, I feel like you're slowly becoming the lawyer of the occult community, just because like there's DH with one hand here and there's fucking lawyers with the other hand here, just fucking shaking on, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
Just shut up.
Just shut the fuck up Friday. Don't talk to cops.
Look, I mean, what do you think this... What, that's like, ooh, that gesture makes universes explode? Come on. It's, I mean, so much, that's the thing, guys. I talk like a motherfucker, but when I'm in my normal state, when I'm in a ritual, none of this is actually what happens when I take the fucking left side of my brain off the chain and just let it do whatever it wants. I fucking sound like a lunatic. But when I'm actually in my normal state, play fucking a video game with me. That's closer to how I actually am. Whatever. Sure. Right. I don't talk hardly at all.
There was a couple times in the Conan server with everybody where it's just like, I had the thought of like, is DH? Is he fucking here? Oh, okay. He's just, he's just dragging corpses back. Okay, cool. Oh, no, that one's still got some life. That's going to be our new cook. That's great.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's my ADHD, because my ADHD makes me fucking ramble when I do talk. But the thing about ADHD is you can actually focus really good, just not on the shit that other people want you to. So I can actually focus really good on entering Gnostic states, but not when you tell me to. Like, I do nothing for your pleasure, sir.
You fucking cat.
Nothing for your pleasure. Basically. Yep. You buy me a toy, I want the box. I'm not that far off from that. Eddie, what is that?
I find kinship in Eddie.
Oh,
on toy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want the box.
I thought you were
wow, there's a lot of layers.
Box.
No, but there's a lot of layers there. I do want the toy, and it is a box. All right, we're entering the goofy mode. We've definitely flipped. Eddie, since we're on goofy mode, let's talk about unless you had another. Oh, you did the second part of that. Do you want to answer the other part of that, dude? Sorry, I did my thing.
Well, yeah, the death one's simple. People aren't afraid of death. They're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
Death is the big unknown. People are only afraid of the unknown.
Yep. And the unknown is actually the dissolution of the egoistic known. It's actually, you actually do, here's the thing. The unknown is the key. The known is actually the illusion. The ineffable, when I say the ineffable divine, you can't know the divine. Like, everybody goes, I'm going to go on my ritual journey and figure out what the divine is. Well, I'll see you never, because that's not how this works.
There's no trains running to this station anymore.
It don't go that way. It's like trying to smell the colors, dude. It's I mean, sure, if you get high enough, I suppose, but it's not, it's kind of like that. Like, it is not a sensual or analytical thing that can happen. But you can, just like I said earlier, when you go into that sensory deprivation and that true meditation where you're just, someone might say going deeper and deeper. Some people might say
deeper.
The dog is being bad. When you go deeper and deeper and you cut off more and more of your egoistic thought of what you are, what's left? Well, there's nothing analytical about what's left. You don't sit there and go, well, I'm here. No, that little statement was not you. That's not you. Shut the fuck up. That's not you. What's there when there's nothing to none of your sensual concepts exist. None of your linguistic mental concepts exist. What exists when you're completely still? That center of being, that awareness of being that has absolutely no intellectual, analytical, sensual nature, that awareness of being, that's Gnosis, and that's the true reality. The irony is it looks like nothing when you first see it. It looks like darkness or just non-experience at first. Then you realize that it's kind of like seeing everything at once all together, and from that everything comes the little somethings. It looks like nothing when you see it all at once because you can't comprehend everything at once. It looks like nothing. But the idea that it's everything is also wrong. It transcends the everything and the nothing. It's the every nothing.
If you want to know what I think the afterlife
No, just kidding.
or whatever is, and I've said it before, but it's interesting because now I have like actual scientific evidence to back it up. An 87-year-old patient was in an fMRI and went into cardiac arrest while they were doing the MRI and died. So there is now a recording of someone dying in real time that neurologists have been poring over. Mm-hmm. And what they've discovered is that the brain essentially slips into a dreamlike state. So we start our life flashes, memory centers get activated, our life flashes before our eyes, we go into this dream state. But what if that dream never ends? Right? And you can be completely materialistic about this because we've all been there. We've all had dreams where we thought we were asleep for years having this dream. And then we wake up and we find out we just took a cat nap kind of thing.
Yeah, because,
you know,
you're basically talking about the Lathe of Heaven excuse. Like, I don't know if you ever read that book, but there's a book called The Lathe of Heaven. And it's literally, not to give the spoiler away, but I'm going to. Turns out all the crazy shit is what was happening in the moments while he was dying. And I think
Jacob's
there's actually, there's a couple of stories like that. And it's a dream. It's literally a dream of now, I like that theory. I used to think about that theory a lot. And I'm sure that that's actually a large portion of the crazy shit you see as you're dying. It's literally your brain going, oh fuck, I'm distracted, and just pulls up all this shit and goes crazy. Well, what happens if you get a bullet in your brain and just gets like scrambled eggs instantaneously? Do you now not have an afterlife? Well, there's no way to know. Here's the thing. Stop thinking about, I don't mean to scold you, Eddie, but the people who wonder about this, stop thinking about an afterlife. Because afterlife, the idea of an afterlife implies that you die. You don't die. Nothing dies. Death is a meaningless term when you realize what you are. What you think of as death is more like a loss of attention on something you really like. Death is not anything like you think it is. The whole reason that we call it death is like when you lose sight of something. So if I'm having a little trouble with my analogies today, but think of it like this. When you die, you don't actually die. You just lose. It's like finishing a book and putting it down and never reading it again. It's still there. All of it's still there. So what's bothering you? It's that you're not reading it anymore. It's that you've forgotten it or you've moved on from it. And it's not death. Like if you were reading a book, if you read Dune and you're done, you put it down. Did you die? No, you just stopped being Paul Muad'Dib for 5 minutes. That's all. Because when you're reading, you can be forgiven if the book's good enough for thinking you're the character in the book. You can be totally forgiven.
Oh, yeah.
Well, imagine the book is so fucking good you think you're you. As an analogy, imagine the book is so good you think you're Eddie or D.H. Thorne or Flesh Priest. It is so good, like you can't tell the difference. It's the Matrix. So if you die in the Matrix, you don't really die. That character is no longer written about from your frame, but it's still there. Theoretically, the divine can live your life over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And you know what's wacky about that? You wouldn't know that you did it because your whole concept of memory is active memory, and active memory is what's imprinted up here. But your spiritual memory is a subconscious memory, and it is not recalled the way active memory is. Now, what happens if the divine pulls away? We think of it like, oh, the divine is in me. No, the divine is focusing on you. What if the divine can pull out and have the memory of multiple people at once? What if the divine can have many different incarnations of you at once? What if the divine can know there's a multiverse of yous out there? The divine can pull out and be all of you, or it can be just you. Well, right now it's just you, not everybody else. It's just you. Because it's just you, your illusion is complete. And so therefore the idea of death means something. If you were to pull back even a little bit from this, you'd go, oh, this is just a mask I'm wearing. I can wear any of them. I'm all of them. I can be this guy again anytime I want to be. And you can live through that. You can even live in an afterlife where you're in the collective conscious and people can recall you. And in recalling you, you can enter through that window. Think of it like that. Think of it like your body is like this. So you think of you as a body. Like, I'm here, this is my body, this is D.H. Thorne. That's bullshit. That's a name you give to a pile of shit. Literally shit. It's a pile of just random assortment of crap. And you call this D.H. Thorne or Eddie or whatever your fucking ridiculous name is. You think that's you. Okay, but it's not. Which part of this is you? Which part of this is you? Where is this you in here? Find that and you'll get it. You're never going to find it. None of them are that. Yes, Eddie. Oh yeah. Just keep cutting yourself into multiple pieces till you find you. You're never going to find you.
No, I'm pointing at it. It's right there. That's me.
Oh, yeah, that one little cell is you, right? Which one of those cells is you? Ooh. All of them. Well, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense because you don't have perfect awareness of your toenails, do you? You don't have perfect awareness of every part of that, do you? So right now, your conscious is a collective conscious. It's a collective of all of this stuff that you call cells, but cells aren't real. They're just ideas. You're a collection of all of this ineffable stuff. And consciousness is focused on this stuff and says, I'm this, but it's not. It's not this. This is consciousness, but consciousness is not this. Your hand is you, but you're not your hand. So when consciousness pulls back and realizes I'm not just this body, I'm a collective of other things too. Wait a minute, I'm a collective of everything. So really what we're talking about you. It's a center of attention. It's not a being, it's a center of attention that thinks it's a being. It's the pupil of your eye. Do you think the pupil of your eye is a thing or is it a hole? It's a hole. Can you see that hole without looking in a mirror? Can you see that hole right now? Just look around. Can you see your pupil without a mirror? So from your frame of reference, you're that pupil. You don't know that you're not the pupil. You think you're that. You think your vision is this. You think that's everything you can see. You think that's the whole show. That's just a little aperture that you're looking through. And you identify with that aperture like an idiot because we're all idiots. That's literally what we are. We are primordial ignorance embedded. It's agnosis. It's avidya. It's these ancient ideas that gives rise to duality and all the things you think are you. You're a whole, bro. You're a whole. Eddie, you're a whole. Fleshy, you're a whole. Thorne is a whole. Thorne whole.
I'm several holes.
Maybe we're several holes. Your whole idea of you is a whole. It's not a thing. It's an aperture. How can you name an aperture as you're a reification of a whole? You're not a thing,
if you will.
What?
A sphincter, if you will.
A sphincter, if you will. A spiritual sphincter. Magic truly is in the butt. All right, I'm done ranting. I hope you guys get it, because that's a big piece of my future philosophy. I'll write it better than I said it.
I would say it this way, to use, because we're playing a game, but there's levels to the game, right? And at the most immediate level above us, right above us, we're sitting at a table, we're having a shared experience. That shared experience, we have agreed upon rules to play the game because that's how you play a game, right? You know, we're playing D&D 5th edition. That's who we are right now. But then when that game session is over, we get up and walk away. But now my character isn't limited to the things
Correct.
that the sheet of paper says he can and can't do. But I'm also not that person that's on the paper anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, right now we're having a shared multi-layered subjective experience that could be called objective then. But then at some point we step back from the table for a little while and we have only the subjective experience.
It's kind of like I think we said in a D&D game or after, we said, your character is not the sheet nor the ink. What is it? The character is a thought form. It's a we have to go even further than that because the thought form is the linguistic. Well, what is it before the linguistic? It's an ineffable, it's a form, it's a thing. We know it's there, and then we start describing it with words and ideas, and we put it on paper. So actually, the character is real. It's an egregore. It's a thought form. It's a thing. It exists in the collective of the infinite. It's there. You just basically, like, you know, outlined it on paper. You could burn that character sheet. The character's still there.
So life is like playing Elite Dangerous in the shared universe mode, and death is solo play.
You know what? He just put it in a way that I understand, finally.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that's closer. I think that death would be just stop playing. Death would be like the death that we think of as just stop playing and play something else.
Death is me with my Lego Cobra Mark III going zoom.
I mean, you know, we mistake the experiential for the actual. We reify all these things we experience as if they're it, when they're just a detection. I can't stress this enough. Even in physics, we know this now. Like, they don't say this much in the layman shit because people wouldn't get it. But scientists know that the stuff we see is not the stuff. It's the interactions of things creating a phenomenological detection, and bang, you hear a sound. Like I've said, that wasn't a clap. That sound you heard was not a clap. The feeling I felt was not a clap. The thing you saw was not a clap. The clap is invisible. You can't hear it. You can't feel it. But the clap,
you can feel the clap.
Okay. You can't feel the clap. You can't hear the clap. You can't see the clap. But the clap is projected into those experiences. Those things are secondary attributes of the clap. The clap itself is ineffable. You can't know what a clap is. But you can, all the things that a clap sounds, feels, and tastes, and touch, and whatever feels like, those are just detections of the clap. And the same thing for photons, the same thing for literally everything that science talks about are just detections. And they're still confused, although I think some of them are they get it, and they're always like the kooky mystical ones that probably smoke too much fucking weed and shit. When they talk about the multiverse, the ones who talk about the multiverse seem to get something that the other ones don't. When we're talking about, like, here we go with quantum physics shit again. This is why, like, I love it when idiots talk about it like they know, like, well, I can cause the universe to do what I want because if I think about it, quantum waves are fluctuating and there's an entanglement between some shit over there and in the negative alternate space of the quantum hyperbolitude and shit happens. Like, shut up. No. These waves, if quantum... When the quantum field collapses, when the quantum wave collapses into an event, it is actually, in my opinion, but it comes from a non-dual mystical realization, that entire wave is actually real. The particle is the detection, and the detection only happens because that's where the attention is at that moment of consciousness. So that whole wave of potential, all of those points exist and have happened. All of them. You're only seeing that one little detection as a particle because that's the sensitivity of your detector. So it's like, imagine an ocean wave coming at you. When an ocean wave comes at you and hits you, how much of the wave do you feel? Do you feel the whole wave or just one little detection of it, one little point of contact? What do you feel? Sure, it takes up your whole body, so it feels like boom, but do you feel the whole wave or just a little particle of it by comparison to its totality? You only experience a little tiny finite particle of it. But there's actually a whole wave that you didn't encounter. That doesn't mean the wave wasn't there. So the problem with the Copenhagen interpretation is reality collapses into this one moment. No, your detection, you're getting the relativity thing backwards. Relativity is not what causes things to be. Relativity is an act of focus, of attention that seems relativistic because that's what you're limiting yourself to. You're only here and now because otherwise you'd have to be everywhere all the time. So you're here now instead. But you can be all places and all things. There's no reason you can't be. You just don't want to be. You're focusing through the aperture of you. So you see a singular universe, one moment at a time, as if through a little tiny hourglass, little sands of time. I'm quoting that thing, you know, from Days of Our Lives. You see things as little sands through the hourglass, not because that's what's real, but because that's what you see. I think it's, what's his name? There's a guy, Ponty, something Ponty. He's a phenomenologist. I have to look him up. He talks about stuff like this. So this sounds to a doofus like solipsism, because they've heard solipsism and they think, you're a solipsist because you're saying that what you experience is an imaginary thing and all of it's fake and it's not real and you're just imagining it. No, not what I'm saying. Not at all. Not even a little bit. It is more like a vast choose your own adventure that every story that can be written is written into, including ones that make no sense. And you're reading the ones that make sense to you.
It's a library of Babel, and you're being very selective about your books.
I would like to propose, for the good of the order, that the Thorne Hub official motto be "effing the ineffable." Since,
yes, I love that.
2018 or whatever.
Effing the ineffable. Okay, so Gnosis Arcano says, could you not detect the same quantum wave function over multiple timelines and dimensions? If I'm understanding your question correctly, you have to first, the premise has a problem. Could you? Who's you? Who's you that's doing the detecting? The you that's doing the detecting is a detection itself. It's a detection itself. You're detecting stuff and calling it you. So who's the you doing the detecting? So what you're really asking is, can divinity experience the entirety of the quantum wave function in multiple timelines and dimensions? It does. It's just right now, it's this one and only this one. And when it's not, here's the funky thing. The person you think you are right now doesn't go along for the ride. And because you're so invested in who you think you are, there's no two-way street about that information. It's a one-way street. You feel right now as if all you are is this, because right now that's all you're paying attention to. So you can't go from I know everything back to you and bring any of that with you, because that's not encoded in this. And so long as you're only this, it will never be part of you. But what if when you die and you stop paying attention to your body as if it's you, what happens if you start to open your field of awareness to include more than that? What if you started to include, I don't know, 10 feet around you? What if you included everybody who knew you? Because that's where your identity still lingers in the collective conscious. You start thinking, well, my son remembers my name and my wife remembers me and all these people remember me. And the more famous you are, the more people know about you and have an idea about you. And so if you're still really egoistically bound, you're probably going to stick to all of that and be like, that's me. I'm the memory of me. I'm a ghost. I'm a ghost and I'm walking around and I can interact through people and people can summon me and you can conjure me. And when you conjure me, I can work through you and I can live through you for a moment. I can still be there. So now you can be in multiple places at once, right? What if you can zoom out a little bit further? We're still in a linear sense of mind. What happens if you can spread out, not just in that spatial sense, but in that temporal sense? What if you can also now know yourself in the past, the present, and the future? What if you can experience that? You can. It's just you can't bring that to now, because now you're stuck in here. It's like, can you take what's on page 45 and put it on page 1? No, you can't. So if you're only focused on page 1, whatever's on page 45 can't be brought over onto page 40 on page. But once you've read the whole book, for example, then presumably you sort of could. But you could also just go back and read page 1. What would it be like to read a whole book at once? What would that look like? Take any one of my books and imagine trying to read the whole thing on one page. What would that look like? Could you make any sense of it? No, you couldn't. It would look like you're like the nothingness of your dreams. It would just be a black page with a couple dots on it of white.
Yeah, that's exactly how you make a Rorschach ink blot.
Yeah. Kind of.
Doom scrolling your way to enlightenment. Just.
Oh, fuck.
Killax Souls asks, what do you think about this quote, DH? Given enough time and energy, anything is possible. Reverse that completely around. Anything is possible, so therefore there is enough time and energy, and now you're getting there. That's a little bit more like it.
There is no problem that cannot be solved with the liberal application of plastic explosives.
I mean, it's almost like the duct tape thing with the Force, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the time is not, I mean, CM nails it. What's time? Time is not a thing. Time is a reification of an experience that you're having. The experience you're having is like a merry-go-round. So when you're going around a merry-go-round, or maybe a better example would be when you're watching a movie and you're watching somebody bouncing a ball. Is there actually a ball bouncing? No, there isn't. In fact, the ball first of all, there's no ball, but let's pretend there was a ball. The ball is not bouncing because it's hitting anything. It's literally just a pattern of light on the screen going up and down. And what is up and down? Well, it's only a reference to you. In other words, all of this is bullshit, including the time. Time is just another relativistic experience that consciousness is having as it filters its experience through a finite little aperture of awareness. Think of it like you can put your consciousness in the tip of your finger and forget the rest of your body. Consciousness has done that. It's forgotten it's the universe. It's pretending it's you. And it's doing that not just in the spatial way, but in the temporal way too. It's limited itself to here and now, but here and now is not an actual coordinate. It's a coordinate, but it's not an actual objective thing. It's arbitrary completely. It could be anywhere. This idea that there is a current moment, scientists knows that's bullshit because Einstein kind of proved that there is no universal now moment. All you got to do is go the right speed and now changes for you. So for example, Eddie and I are talking. Let Eddie say something. So right. Eddie's frame of reference is now. That moment for him was now. And when I heard it, it was now. However, how do we know that those two now moments actually synced up? In other words, how do we know that when he thought it was now and when I thought it was now was the same now? We don't. We have no way of knowing if we had the same now moment. In fact, what the fuck is that?
As the bard said, when will then be now?
Yeah.
Soon.
So another example would be, let's put this in a more relativistic scientific way. Take a satellite orbiting the Earth at a certain speed. They will both agree upon an event happening. Like, so I'm talking about time dilation. So take a satellite orbiting the Earth at a high speed. It exists in a different frame of time, a different time frame, a referential frame of time than you and I do. We're down in the bottom of a gravity well. We're not moving as quickly. Time is dilated differently for us. So let's say in between the two of us, I explode something that we both can see. Whose now moment is accurate? If we're both experiencing time at a different rate, whose now moment is accurate? Neither one. Time is an illusion, my friend. You think time is this wave that goes through. No. Time is what consciousness experiences when it selectively tunnels through itself, if you will, in a hyperdimensional field of a fractal, tunneling through all of the potential, and it comes at it in a wave. So it's actually motion, if you will. Motion's still not right, but it's a shifting of awareness, like reading a fucking book. I love the book analogy because it's so close. When you read a book, you can have the feeling of time passing because of the way events are stacked on top of each other, but you're dreaming the whole thing. The book is always there as a permanent thing. but the story as it plays in your head can have a linear sequence to it. And when there's a linear sequence, you tend to want to put things in relationship to each other, and so you get an illusion of time. I remember reading some books where I felt like 7 days must have passed between these moments because, damn, I'd read a lot. Then it's like, no, he was just really descriptive about one scene. Like, oh shit, I thought there was like a lot of time passed, but it was literally just he described every color on the D.H. Thorne must have wrote it. Holy shit.
I am God.
Ooh, self-roast.
I am God, man spreading in time space.
You're man spreading time space. So part of what makes this so difficult for scientists is because it's a little bit like the character Hamlet trying to figure out that he's in a book or in a play. And he has no control over what happens in the story, for one thing. He thinks he does because he's been written to have self-awareness, but he's actually not. If you, again, when you read a good book, you're forgiven if you lose your own sense of reality for at least a few minutes. It happens to everybody. If you really know how to read it, like if you're really good at reading a book and you can really get engrossed in it, you don't see words anymore, right? Anybody who reads books for fun, like reads fiction, knows that after a page or two, if even that long, you don't see words anymore. It's just your brain just starts animating this story and you see things and you feel things and you hear things.
It's just a straight download.
It just feels like you're downloading and hallucinating the whole thing in real time. At least it does for me. And I'm not a visual thinker. So if that can happen just from reading a book, what can consciousness do with a hyperdimensional field of all of this? It can dream anything. And it would be like you're reading a book. So can Hamlet figure out that he's in a book? Ever? Can Hamlet understand page 45 of his story? Can he understand that he's in a book at all? He'll never get that. Never. However, the person who's reading the book can figure that out. And science is like trying to understand that you're in a book from the perspective of Hamlet. Metaphysics, this crazy non-dual shit that we talk about, is realizing you're the one reading the book. Yes, you can have a completely logical understanding of the story of Hamlet from the, like you can model the book as Hamlet, but you can never realize you're in the book. So we can have a really impressive model of this illusion. We can have computers that can simulate this, and we can go to the moon and all this technology, and there's nothing bad about that at all. It's all good. That's wonderful. Like, don't misunderstand me. But that's not understanding reality. That's understanding a hologram. That's not understanding the actual. That's understanding the model. And when that clicks for you and you transcend this whole silly thing, it's just, I mean, aside from moments when you forget that you've transcended it and it feels real again, aside from that, none of this has the hold over you that you think it does now. None of it. We lost Flesh Priest.
Did you really?
I thought I saw a question earlier from someone that said about, is there a way to absolutely command a spirit?
Yes, that was from Lois or Louis Gorey. Said, I have a question for Eddie.
Fleshy.
Is there a true way to command spirits with ceremonial magic or high magic?
All right. I'm getting in my serious position now.
Oh, fuck. Well, time to go, everybody. End of the stream. Thanks for showing up, Eddie.
The answer is yes and no. In true non-dual style. It's both. In your circle, temple, ritual chamber, whatever, you are God, right? And if you don't know that, and I don't mean think it, believe it, know it, down in your bones, you're not ready to be doing spirit work, right? You have to have that basic safety valve that when you tell something to get the fuck out, it will in fact get the fuck out. But that only lasts as long as you're in that chamber. You're in that circle. So when the ritual's over, if you think of a spirit as an ontologically separate being with its own free will, you really can't command it, right? But they're not just that, they're also a part of you. So really kind of the question you're asking is there a way to absolutely command some part of yourself? And the answer to that is yeah, but you have to integrate it first. As long as you think of this thing as being other than you, it remains a part of your shadow, because the definition of shadow is all the parts of ourselves that we don't recognize, we don't accept, we reject, right? So if I think of that thing as some other thing over here that is not me, then I can't command it, right? But if I think of it as it's this finger, I can make this finger do whatever I want this finger to do within the parameters of what's physically possible, right? So, you know, kind of a roundabout way of saying it is you want to be a little theistic, but not too theistic, if that makes sense.
So my response to all of that, let me ask you a question. Can Hamlet control Claudius? Can Hamlet control Ophelia? Can Hamlet control Shakespeare? Can Shakespeare control all of them? Can you control all of them? This idea of control is a little bit off. Control implies that there is something that you can't do. In other words, control implies that something can resist you. Control is an ego word. The divine is not ego like that anyway. So when you say, can I control a spirit? Eddie is correct on the level where he says, when you see them as something separate, no, you can't. But then we go a little bit further. We say, well, what does control even mean? Control implies that there is any other way it could be. In order for there to be control, there has to be out of control. So long as you're seeking control, you're not actually in the non-dual state. You do not actually realize that what is going to be is inevitable because you're the one doing it. So I like, people have asked, we've talked about free will, and I've sort of figured out free will as like this. You have no choice in doing free will. Free will is always your will. It is happening all the time. You have no choice but to do your free will. But your will is not free. It is simply your will. You have no choice but to do your will. The moment you feel like you have a choice or have to control something or choose something, that's actually a moment of egoistic resistance. Because you see two doorways and you are, for whatever reason, not willing to go down one. Now, I don't mean lack of information, like you're in a, you know, is that way the exit or is that way to the monster? I don't mean that. I mean, in any given moment, when you face a dilemma of choice, you already know what you're going to do. You just don't want to admit it yet. Or you haven't figured it out yet. You haven't realized it yet. This is what it means in that scene in the Matrix when the Oracle tells Neo, you've already done it. You just have, now you're just seeing why. It's already done. I tell this story all the time about my father when he lost his foot. And the doctors came to me, and he asked me, there was a choice. He was in a bad motorcycle accident and he was unconscious. He was in a coma. They put him in the coma though, so he could come out. They put him in a coma and they're like, he's unable to make this decision for himself. You've got to decide, what do? We can either try to keep his foot and leg, but he'll never walk on it again. It'll be extremely painful. He'll be in a wheelchair, but he'll have this piece of flesh that looks vaguely like a mushy foot. Or we can cut his leg off from below the knee. And it's a risky thing. About 80% will work. And he'll probably 60% to 80% walk again with a prosthetic. Or we can take his leg off above the knee. He'll probably not really be able to walk, but it's the safest option with the least complications. Which one do you do? Immediately I knew that I was going to have them take off the foot below the knee. But I agonized over the decision for a while, and I made a choice. But my true will was done. Now, that little microcosmic moment is what's playing out in all of this. That's just a microcosmic example of everything else that's going on. The divine is always, its will always is experienced, if you will. So the idea of control implies from this little limited space of you, can you control anything? Well, can Hamlet control Ophelia? Can Hamlet control Claudius? No. Can Hamlet have the illusion that he did, though? Abso-fucking-lutely. Shakespeare can write it into the story that Hamlet fools Claudius and has all of this shit happen, and he got his way in the end. Even though it's a tragedy, he still sort of got the better of his uncle, didn't he? So he gets to feel like he had control, but he didn't. Shakespeare did. So you say, aha, then I need to be the Shakespeare of my reality. Whoa, 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 whoa. Aren't you just playing a Russian nesting doll game where now you're, well, who controls Shakespeare? And you can keep doing that for any number of iterations you want, and you'll always feel like there's something higher than you controlling the game. Do you know when you don't have that feeling? When you're not worried about the choices, you just act. Now, how do we apply this to spirits? Number one, Eddie was right. Don't see them as external to you. You can see them as external to the person you think you are, fine. I don't think D.H. Thorne is Lucifer. That's ridiculous. They're two different characters in a much bigger story. I don't think I'm the author of that story either, because the author would have a controller too. I've transcended all of that in a good ritual. If I'm in the proper state of mind, there is literally no sense of control going on whatsoever between me and a spirit. It is literally, I'm talking and we're communicating, and it's just a download of just whoop, and I know what they know, and there's no, the idea that we're two separate things competing and controlling each other is retardedly wrong. If I'm in that state, that doesn't mean you can't do it that way, but that's an illusion. That's a game you're playing to give your ego a sense of power. And when you do that, that's fine. There's a lot of sorcerers who do it that way. Go ahead and grab your little Solomonic book of Goetic magic and get your little brass vessel and put the camphor in it and put the other shit and burn the shit out of that spirit when it doesn't do what you want. And you're gonna be like, ha ha, I told that spirit. You're just Hamlet thinking he got one up on his uncle. None of that was you doing anything. It's just a silly game you're playing. And this is why it's wrong. When I say wrong, I don't mean moralistically wrong. This is why it's wrong to threaten, punish, scold, and otherwise try to command and force the spirit world. Because if you really knew what was going on, you'd realize that you are no more needing to control the spirit world than you are to... I'm losing my words. Than you are to make your blood flow. It's inevitable. It's happening. There's no control at all. And people go, oh, there's no control. That means chaos. That means I'm not free will. No. Realize that the idea of control would imply that you have to resist something else. That's ego saying that. If you truly are the non-dual divine, the idea of anything being more in control than you is silly. And if there's nothing more in control than you, you're not actually in control of anything. You're just doing it. There's a big, it sounds like it's a semantical, it's not. It's a deep difference in understanding. Now, what if I were to then tell you your whole idea of a doing requires an idea of time? If time is an illusion, there's nothing to be done. It's already, and you're just now dreaming it, pretending it's time-based and happening. The book is already written. Hamlet has already gotten the better of his uncle. You just have to find out by reading that. So you're sitting in a ritual chamber, you've conjured whatever spirit, and you want to boss them around. Sure, maybe that's written into your story, and you can have that little fun experience like you're bossing the spirit around. You can do that. You're not the one doing it, though. You just think you are. Everything I'm saying is actually also mirrored in what we know about neurology and everything else, too, by the way. It's not just some guru babble. Trust me. Sorry, go ahead.
Sony has hit one of my catchphrases for this, which is you don't approach this from the perspective of I'm over the spirit or the spirit is over me. This is a mutually beneficial partnership.
I would even say that even that,
yes.
I would say that even that's fine as a level 1 stepping stone. But when I am in a good ritual, there's no sense of cooperation. There's no sense of command. There's no sense of me and them. It is literally what I say and what the spirit says is the same thing.
There is no sense of separation.
Yeah, there's no sense of any control, any will, any talking, it's just when you're in the zone playing if you're jamming out on a guitar, you're playing a new song, or you're just making it up and you're jamming, you don't feel any control. You're just like, you're just in ecstasy doing it. That's a good ritual. When you're really communing with the spirit correctly, it's like jamming out on a guitar. When you have no idea what you're playing, it just comes out. That's it. That's the state of Gnosis I keep talking about. That's the Gnostic state. When you're doing ritual in that state, forget about it. Whatever you're experiencing, you may not get what you think you want, but you will have no question a miracle occurred when the thing manifests. It may be the exact opposite of what you wrote on your little paper as your pact to the demon. It may be literally the opposite. But when it manifests, you go, wow, this is so much more exactly what I needed to see.
As I like to say, my magic always gets a result. Sometimes it's even the one I was looking for.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna put Eddie, I'm borrowing some of your catchphrases today. It's gonna happen. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. So yeah. And this is why I piss off a lot of the magic as a tool vending machine people that unfortunately, and I do love my chaos magicians. I talk shit about them, but I do love them because they are very fucking smart. I talk shit about it because a lot of them have that mentality that magic is a tool to get what you want. And this also is part of all of these magical communities that I'm in. Everybody who does magic thinks that way. The reason you think that way is because the hidden masters, the ones who passed the mystery schools, the ones who created the mystery schools, the ones who know what's going on don't want you to realize your actual connection to divinity, because if they did, they know that you would just kind of not do what they want. They know that if you knew that they know that you know that they know that you know, to borrow from, Jackie Gleason. If you know that I know that you know that I know that I know that you know, could they make you make war? Not to bring up the thing right now, but could you be compelled to go to war if you realize that the other people there were just extensions of the same divinity that you are, and that they have every same right and all of these things? How much harder would it be to convince you to do anything like that? I'm not saying it would never happen, as we said with the rabid dog example, but how much harder would it be to compel you to do something like that? How much harder would it be for you to be compelled through fear or even the taking away of pleasure or comfort if you realize that this was just a puppet you're sitting behind, and that you could cut those strings anytime and the puppet will keep dancing without you and you don't even have to be here. You're just here because you want to be. How much harder would it be? How much harder would it be? And of course, they're suffering from an illusion too, and that means so am I. Since I'm living in this illusion where I think that I'm me and all of this, that makes me subject to all of this. So what I'm actually telling you, without meaning to tell you it, is that I'm still stuck in a shadow where I think that they can control me. I still am. So are you. So are we all. But I sort of secretly know I'm not. And that's sort of what sort of is like that Lucifer light in the distance. And I go, wait a minute, over there, that's freedom. That's the exit. Lucifer is a keyhole and an exit. It's a light, like in the darkness, not because it's a light. It's like light from an exit. And you realize, oh shit, is that light at the end of the tunnel a train coming, or is that the other end of the tunnel? I don't know, but I'm going to go towards it and find out. That's kind of what I'm talking about. So I sort of realize what they don't realize, or maybe they realize it and they've got an angle that makes it work for them. I don't know. That part I haven't quite figured all the way out. Because I'm sitting here wondering, well, if they know exactly what I know, then what's the point of even trying? It would just be whatever it is. This is where it gets a little bit, you can't analyze it. At some point, it's sort of like a singularity. You can't get any smaller. It's just there. It just is what it is. As you know, it's like when Eddie and I were joking about if we were to write a book together, it would be 100 pages, and right in the middle of the book, it would say, or at the very end, it would say, all these pages are intentionally left blank. And it would just be that. So, CM. Oh, CM.
Oh, boy.
Lucifer's glory hole of Gnosis. Oh, CM. Oh, CM.
I figured it out. What we're doing here. Right?
Oh, no.
Hold on, let me get my joint.
Yep. Hit the blunt. Okay.
Because you just did the total blunt move. That was. Oh wait, I know what we're doing here. Hold up.
So the secret is that DH is approaching everything from like the top down perspective. So he's the one looking down at the many, and I'm approaching everything from I'm one of the many looking up. So it's top down and a bottom up.
So you're saying you're the bottom?
I'm climbing the hill.
So I'm topping you?
Sure.
And you're bottoming me? Are you power bottoming me though? That's the question. That's what I want to know.
Magic is power bottoming reality.
Maybe.
I could give an entire lecture about power bottoming as it relates to the occult, but that is neither here nor there in the context of this stream. I heard that.
I don't know if she was laughing. She's 30 seconds behind, so she's laughing at something else.
It was the power bottom.
It was my power bottom. Wait till she gets to your part.
Yes. We're here to stretch the sphincter of reality.
We're here to stretch that. Yeah, fuck it. We'll say sphincter. So people wonder, like, Thorne, why do you wear all these robes? Because, dude, there's times I really wish I could just be walking around in a fucking robe with fucking sitars playing and just fuck all you and just be like, boing, boing, boing. I know what I am. What are you?
Man, I think more people need to wear, like...
I totally agree.
It
should be a respected fashion.
A robe complements every body shape.
It does.
And, if I never want to tread to this, but if, like, sometimes I just have this, like, desire to, like, implant little homework assignments to our viewers a la Fight Club. And just, I won't do that, but I'll skirt around that by saying I had this thought of, like, everybody go out and start wearing robes. That's your homework assignment for the week.
Dude, when we do our meetup, I request it's at least trench coats. A robe-like object must be worn.
Kilt.
So the kilt, I guess. It's got to be a long kilt, though. It's got to be close. It's got to be below the knee kilt. I know it's not a kilt, but I'm just saying. No, but in all honesty, like, there's actually Sadhguru did a video and he talked about this, and I knew about this before, but most recently I heard it from him, is that there's a reason why a lot of mystical cultures recommend wearing loose flowing garments like robes. Ultimately, the goal would be to be butt-ass naked all the time. Skyclad is not so that you can be, like, vulnerable and naked and show the gods your balls and shit. The point is actually to remove any sense of boundary between you and the universe. When you're wearing loose flowing garments, there is less of a feeling as if you are disconnected from everything. And as you are, if you run around buck naked, you can get the feeling as if there's literally no edge to you. Your clothing gives you a really strong sense of an edge to your boundary of self. And this is why I think it's another example of what Westerners get wrong. And I don't mean that like in a racist way. I mean that in a cultural way. Western culture is very constricted, very tight, very much I'm here and you're there, boundary, 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 everywhere up and down. And of course, our spiritual leaders wear robes and shit, but we don't. The mundane people don't. That's another
separation.
It's another kind of separation. It's all separation. It's those Russian nesting dolls, dude, that are just driving me nuts. Does that mean I want to be naked all the time? No, I have some modesty, of course. But let's talk about the symbolism there too with the Bible. What if it's actually the other way around? What if the Bible should have said Adam and Eve were fucking clothed to the nines and then they ate the apple and they realized they were wearing too many clothes and they stripped naked? But the orthodoxy reversed it because they don't want you to recognize the lack of separation between you and everything. What if that tree of knowledge of wisdom and all that shit was realizing you're it? And he can't have that. So put those clothes on, motherfucker. Put those clothes back on.
As Funkadelic taught us, free your mind and your ass will follow.
We're talking about butts again. Man, magic is definitely in the butt. No, but I mean, this is, it's also psychological. It's just like, see, Jasonius says Skyclad is natural and how one is born into the world, greater flow of energy, I think before ritual Skyclad. That is such a materialistic perspective of it. And it's what they say. I don't even know. I I could almost say what book you read that from. I don't mean that I know it sounds smug to say it like that, but that is the magic is a tool that gets me stuff, materialistic way of thinking of it. I was born into this world naked, so it's more natural. Dude, there's octopuses that cover themselves in fucking coconut shells. Are they less natural because they're covered in a coconut shell? Of course not. You're covering yourself in coconut shells. Does that make you less natural? No. Wearing clothes is not unnatural. And again, I'm not scolding you. I hear things like that and my whatever pedantic brain just triggers on it. That stuff is actually part of what limits you. But here's the good news. By telling you that, what they told you, what you just recited, it's a way to modify your behavior. So one day you'll be standing there naked in ritual and go, wait a minute. Actually, it has nothing to do with some perceptual materialistic nature. I'm more natural because I don't feel a sense of disconnect from nature now. That's what it's meant by more natural. So all I'm saying is the way it was said that you recited is what, it's like they don't want to tell you too much, but they want to point you in the direction of doing it so that by doing it, you go, oh, wait a minute, it has nothing to do with that. That's just the word. That's just the carrot on the stick. Oh, it's so much more. The problem is too many people get hung up on the story. Here, it's the Zen thing. Zen says this. Zen says Zen is a finger pointing at the moon, but too many people focus on the finger. What they mean by that is people completely ignore the point of Zen, which is the pointing, and they focus on the zafus and the robes and the meditation and the blah 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 and the koans and two in the pink and one in the stink, as Eddie's doing there. They completely miss the point. So people will practice these pagan arts, whatever the fuck they are, and they get all wrapped up in the window dressing, completely wrapped up in that, and don't know why. People who think that Zen is a fucking ritual cushion and staring at a wall are stupid. Now that's the Klingon version of two in the pink and one in the stink, by the
way. I appreciate that.
The Vulcan one is the one that, I was raised with, but, all right. So I'm kind of losing it. Again, just Sony, I'm not scolding you, brother. I hope you know that. I think you do, but I hope you know that. I'm scolding the statement because the statement is, it's like, to say it's wrong would be wrong, but to say that that's the whole picture would be wrong. It'd be like saying the point of a car is to have leather seats.
Mm.
The ritual doesn't count unless the gods can see your taint.
Hold on, let me do the fucking Hindu god version of that, where like a whole bunch of different hand pairs come out.
Gotta slap yourself with 8 arms at the same time.
Hey, Christian angels have multiple sets of wings. Hindu deities have multiple sets of arms.
My next life, I'm just gonna be in a gory. I'm just gonna be butt naked, sitting in a cremation ground, showing people my taint.
And just Sony, no apologies needed, bro. It's not even about my bad. Look, there's a reason why people tune in to me to talk about this crap. I guess because I'm an irreverent wordsmith, and I just fucking maybe that's my look. I'm not any better than anybody, but maybe I have just a better fucking vocabulary. Maybe, I don't know. That's why gurus aren't people who know better. They just know how to explain it better. I'm not a guru. You're your own guru, but I'm saying gurus are the ones they've got. Like, a guru is the equivalent of Carl Sagan. There are way better scientists than Carl Sagan, but Carl Sagan put shit into words that the average dummy could hear and go, "Wow, that's really smart." And there's a lot of people who think Carl Sagan was a moron too. By the way, just putting that out there. I'm like a mystical communicator. I am not more mystical than you. I'm just a mystical communicator. I just know how to say it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm getting tired. Somebody shut me up. You guys are all just sitting.
Well, I've been thinking about it too, because this is actually the longest stream we've done in a while. We're reaching 3.5 hours.
See, I was just in Gnosis.
Yeah, normally, a workplace says you must take a break after 3 hours.
I see. I see. And we literally did not hit our quota for today, so I'm going to have to put you all in a write-up.
Well, quota. I'm fucking.
So just putting it out there.
Speaking of which, actually, I didn't want to interrupt the train of thought, but Dorian1221, I don't know if you're still watching, but they hit us with a super chat and just posted a rose for us. I'd like to think that is a matador giving
Dorian.
their compliments to the.
I think that was for Eddie.
I don't know. I kind of just put us in the context of the bull being slain. You know, the rose is a compliment either way.
Ooh, I mean, I'm both titillated with the compliment that I am like a bull, or that Eddie, or we all are like a bull, or that we could be slain. I think that's a kind of compliment, because it's sort of like when people like to argue with me so much on the politics channel. I kind of think I could be offended, but everyone wants to argue with me. They don't argue with everybody else. That either means I'm the most wrong, or I'm the one that they want to beat. I can't be mad at either one of those. Like, how come people don't fucking argue with Eternal Lux or fucking Mulberry very much? It's like it's always me.
Approachable?
I'm not
That can't be it.
No, actually it is, dude. Whenever I've gone to a bar, like, the weirdest people just walk up to me and just start talking to me. It's like, what? I give off talk to me vibes when I'm sitting here with like my Hail Satan fucking tattoo on my forehead. Like, really? Like, come on, man.
That's why you're approachable. I've had to train that. I've had to train the unapproachable into me.
I guess. I mean, I sort of do get that. I've been told, like, there was this little old lady on the bus one time, and I was going through, going to work, and this sweet little old black lady reminded me of the lady who used to watch me when I was a kid. I'm sitting there on the bus, and she comes up, and she like looks around the bus and looks at me, and I'm like, well, there's no way she's gonna sit next to a dude like me. Not that I'd mind, but there's no way. I'm sitting here with a black trench coat, fucking looking like a murderer or some shit, and she sits next to me. Forget her exact wording. This is over 20 years ago almost. She says to me something along the lines of, I bet you think that I'd be scared of you, but I know people like you. This is just an act because you don't want to be messed with. You're a real sweet person, I'll bet you. And I want to sit next to you because I bet you'd protect me. I said, hi, my name's Dan. Nice to meet you. She's like, I was writing. I forget. I'm paraphrasing the whole thing, but that's basically what happened. And I think that some people can see through that, some people got the shining, so to speak. They can see through the facade of don't fuck with me, and they realize that, no, there's a good person there. They just want to be left alone by everybody else. I get it.
Hey, some people are just so fucking some people have seen shit to where glamour magic just does not work on them.
True. That's true too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like I said to my son. I said, I know I can seem like a hard ass, but a father kind of has to be sort of like a good cookie. You got to be hard and crusty on the outside and soft and gooey on the inside. And I can seem like, I know, don't shut up, Fleshy. I can seem like a real, like, hard ass motherfucker, but inside it's all squishy. And that's sort of how you gotta be, as at least the kind of father that I was. Yeah, whatever. I guess I am still. Yeah. Yeah.
You're still daddy to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby. I'll probably not get slapped for that. I'm gonna go on this last question. I think we should cut it unless Eddie wants to say more, because he's been very quiet.
Yeah,
question.
I selfishly want to cut it soon. I'm fucking.
Yeah. All right, well, cool. And Eddie and I are going to be doing a Gnostic stream at some point, preferably without an audience, so I'm not all wound up. Question: DH, do both vampiric path working and working with shadows overlap at some point? And do they almost become one and the same when this occurs? So shadow beings are by nature vampires. That don't take that too literally in the, like, that's all they do or whatever, because there's more to it than that. But their influence on us is very vampiric. That is to say, they want to be us and they want us to be them. So they drain us when we don't integrate. The less you integrate them, the more they feed off of you. Because essentially, the more you try to deny them and fight them and get rid of them, the stronger they get. Whether you see them or not is another question. Actually, if you can see them, on one hand, it could mean that they're super strong and they've just got so much energy that they're just appearing for you. But it could also mean that they're actually closer to being integrated than you realize. And that's why you're able to see them. There's two schools of thought on that. I don't know which one I sit on completely. As much as I know, that's just a question I have for myself. Would I see them more if I knew they were there, or would I see them more if I didn't? I don't know. But they like to manifest somehow. Now, so there is an element of vampirism that they share. They are a form of psychic vampire. In fact, I would argue that there's, depending upon your way of looking at them, if you want to look at them really literally in a mythology kind of way, then all vampires are probably the product of a shadow that's feeding on someone somewhere. And as part of that head vampire chain, it gets to you, and you're feeding all of them, and you're feeding a shadow, or just feeding a shadow directly. Like, there's something to that head vampire mythology. Usually if you're a vampire, that's usually because someone has drained you or is draining you. They've either drained you to the point where you're broken and need to feed now because you've got a psychiatric, psycho-spiritual flaw. Not a flaw. I always say flaw. I don't mean flaw, but basically a change in your own flow that requires supplementation in that way. If a shadow being is really doing a number on you, then you're probably going to feel drained from it. And you're probably going to drain others to feed that shadow, and so on. So to try to put it in like a real world example, let's take the colossal shadow, because that one's relatable for a lot of people. Let's say that you've been abused by, say, your father. Your father is essentially been, their colossal shadow is taken over, and they are acting on it instead of just being passive and just being angry inside. Now they're acting on it, and they're beating you up, and they do this over and over and over again. And you become someone who learns that behavior from them. And so you're going to do that to somebody over and over and over again. Well, in a way, that is a kind of vampirism, because that beating you up is a way that they're feeding. They're feeding off of your pain and the power that they feel doing this to you, because the secret of the colossal shadow is it looks big and menacing, but it's actually powerless. It's actually impotent and weak, and that's why it lashes out and hurts things. So when that person lashes out and hurts people, they're feeding that shadow because they feel so weak, because that shadow is draining them and making them feel weak. And so they've got to feel strong. And so they do this, they feel strong, and then they feel bad, of course, potentially. That feeds a different shadow. And this cycle of feeding it funnels up to that colossal shadow. Well, let's say you don't know your father anymore. Maybe he's dead to you. Maybe he's literally dead. You never see him again. But now you're abusing someone in your life. Your own colossal shadow that was infected into you by your abusive father. That's always been there, but it's been really empowered because of that. Now you're feeding that shadow by beating somebody else. That is, in essence, what a lot of psychic vampirism is. Not all of it, but a lot of it. You have something about you that's feeding something else, or there's a deficit, and so you do something. Now, sometimes you can turn this into a positive. That's what being an awakened vampire means. You're turning this negative habit, where you're doing it in a way that hurts and does damage, into a way that's at least symbiotic. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to heal everybody, but it's at least symbiotic. You're giving something for what you're taking. And preferably not in a codependent way where you're hurting them and they're okay with it. No, I mean, you found a way to feed that part of yourself that's the deficit without doing harm. So I'm often, not always, sometimes I go, I don't know if they really want me to talk to them or not. But if I feel the right energy connection to somebody, like their energy tastes good to me, if they're suffering, I go to them to help them because I want to feed off of that, and I want to feel good because I'm helping them and all. That's a form of vampirism. But some people, they do it in a negative way. Could I get that same feeling by abusing Flesh Priest when he's having a bad day? You're right, I could. But I would also then feel guilt afterwards. And that guilt would cause it to be worse. I feel so much better filling that empty vacancy in me by trying to help Fleshy than I would the other way around, which is what I would have done 30 years ago. So, it's complicated.
I'll give you my simple answer.
Is this a butthole joke?
No.
I'm
No.
kidding.
Is vampirism shadow work?
Yeah, kind
Yes.
of is. Yeah.
Because right on the face of it, vampires, along with all the other things what go bump in the night, are our shadows. That's an archetype. And specifically, it's the archetype of the thing that we are sort of trying to keep at arm's length with that archetype is the reality that for any of us to live, other things have to die. That we are predatory creatures at some level. And so
life feeds on death.
Vampirism, vampiric work, is a way of integrating that shadow. And eventually, it becomes a positive thing. But beyond that, take any kind of magic there is. Is X shadow work? Yes. It's all shadow work.
It's all a form of shadow work because the
All
ultimate
shadow
the ultimate shadow is your divinity. That's the ultimate shadow.
Yep.
So,
And it's because even if it's just something as simple as practical enchantment, getting laid or getting paid, you have to confront the shadows of why you want those things.
yeah. And Jasonium says, so a dual path working vampirism and shadows to integrate them both. I think that's still locked up in a materialistic mindset. Absolutely do both, but that wouldn't make you a more powerful vampire, no. I mean, you might think it does. You might feel like it does. You'll definitely know more. You'll definitely integrate more. How about instead of a powerful vampire? Vampire isn't a noun, although we use it that way. Vampire is more like a verb, a little bit of an adjective.
Vampirism is just a specialized form of energy work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's edgy Reiki.
It's edgy Reiki. Yeah. And as edgy Reiki, you can also, you don't need it. It's a thing that is often a phase for people because at some point, if you're awakened, you learn to not need to do it consciously or worry about it. You sort of heal when I say heal, I mean, you may still have that deficit, but you heal the need to feed in that you find a symbiotic way to get the energy you want. And to be brutally honest, I'm still making it too material sounding. This is all mythology. So transcend the mythology, use the mythology that I've given you or others, like whatever mythology of the vampire you want, but transcend the mythology itself and see that mythology as an interface like the computer screen to deal with the ineffable stuff in the CPU. This whole idea of, there's a vampire on your computer screen. Is there really a vampire there? No, there's no vampire there. It's just something that looks like one. In the computer, is there a vampire? No, there's just a bunch of code that makes a vampire appear on your screen. So right now, to make you a more powerful vampire, you're just really just changing the mythology you want to believe about yourself. You don't need to practice anything to do that. You could just be delusional and say, I am a super powerful vampire, and for all you know, you are. Just do that. Like so the goal of almost all these books that I write about these subjects, in a way, it's sort of like when it's done, if you've really done it, there's a good chance when you're done, you're gonna be like, what the fuck was the point of this? I'm not that. This is all just fun and games. This is stories. This is psychotheater, psychodrama. This is all psychodrama. Now, psycho meaning psycho-spiritual. It's all psychodrama. It's a way to connect with something that I'm ignoring without a story to put on it because I don't quite yet see it. So if I put, all these things are symbolic of something you can't see. So what does it mean to be a more powerful vampire? Well, the powerful vampire is just a bunch of words. What's the ineffable thing behind it that you're trying to be? Well, that's why Eddie said it's an integration of shadow. You're trying to integrate something. Instead of being a more powerful vampire, try to be a more integrated being. You won't care about being a powerful vampire. In fact, the most powerful vampire will be a little to you, the more integrated as a being you are. Quite literally. Be God. Fuck being a vampire.
The beginning of it is confronting your own shadow. The end of it,
spider.
the end of that path working is realizing that you don't have to do any of this because energy in the magical sense is not a finite quantity. You have all of it right
all of
now.
it. And the whole idea of energy requires resistance, by the way. As long as you're pretending there's energy, that means you're pretending there's something that's in opposition to it, because if there isn't, you can't detect the energy. Energy can only be detected by the work it does. To do work, it has to be in opposition to something to detect and thus work on it. So in order for a wheelhouse, I'm tired. What's the, not a windmill, but a windmill is a good analogy too. But I'm thinking of a paddle wheel, whatever, on a river, a river wheel. In order for a river wheel to work, the water and the spinning wheel have to have some resistance between them, some opposition between them. In order to generate energy to do work in a windmill, the wind and the mill have to disagree about what to do with themselves. So energy is essentially two things that aren't going the same direction, and they're colliding, and that collision is the energy. Does that make sense? The energy is not the movement. We think it is, because from our perspective as a resisting thing, the energy is the movement. No. The energy is only what happens when it conflicts. A punch only hurts if you don't go with it. Electricity is only electricity if there's the idea that electricity travels around the line is kind of wrong, but a kind of we'll say a wave. But when there's a wave in the ocean, the wave doesn't travel. You think it does because you see it as a traveling wave, but really it's just water going like this. And it looks like waves because of the way that all in the aggregate flows together. It looks like water moving, but it's not. If you could see the molecules of water in the ocean, in a wave, you don't see a molecule start here and go to the shore. That doesn't happen. It's doing a circle. It's doing a loop. And then it looks like something traveling. A wave is a reification of that movement. All energy is the same thing. It's an illusion, almost everything. And then when you realize that even that oscillating molecule is just another wave, which itself is an illusion of movement, it's all the same field of electromagnetic energy that forms those atoms and molecules. And that thing looks like it's rippling. Well, something else is shifting around. When you get to the nitty gritty of it, what's moving? Not the stuff. Your awareness of it is moving. You've got to reverse the whole story. And so it's kind of like, like I said, it's all psychodrama. Is some more effective for some people than others? Absolutely. Some people just have to go for a walk with a Zen master for a few tries and meditate, and bing, they get it. Some people got to spend their lifetime trying to make a philosopher's stone. Some people got to spend a lifetime trying to figure out what the Baphomet is, or pretend like they're doing, what's that movie with Tom Hanks that was based on that book where he's got to figure out that, was it Da Vinci Code? Have you got to Da Vinci Code the occult till they figure out their God? Everybody's got a different, there are Buddhist ways for Buddhists. There's big ways, small ways, all of them lead to you realizing you're the Buddha. All of them. It's just, some take a couple lifetimes, I will say. So none of them are wrong. None of them are right. None of them are better. None of them are worse. Alchemy's not better than vampirism. Vampire's not better than shadow work. Shadow work's not better than this. None of them are better. It is just like what Eddie said earlier. Everybody, there's a different thing that works for them for different reasons. It's like he said before with the trying to get the audio signal right or whatever. It's going to be different for everybody what works for them. For me, I was watering the bushes while listening to Alan Watts and entered a no-mind state or a mindful state when I was doing it. And then I clicked and I was like, I'm the bush, I'm everything. And then this weird acid trip thing happened. And then I realized what I was. And then ever since then, I've been kind of chasing that green fairy for the rest of my life, trying to not get back to that, but trying to explain to people what that was like. And magic is, like I said, I came back to magic after that. Magic didn't do that for me. Alchemy didn't do that for me. Vampirism didn't do that for me. In a way, I'm kind of like an asshole telling you guys all the wrong ways because none of those ways I'm describing work for me, but I teach them. Interesting. Figure that one out. All right. I'm gonna have to. We all got to go. I have a cute little spider that I just saw, and I love
heard
them, but
that.
I don't want to. Oh, there he is. I don't want him to land on me, but I want him to be happy wherever he ends up. So I just got to keep an eye on him. They love me at night. They love. I'll be sitting here typing. It's just. And it's a little early in the year for them, though. It's February and it's still 30 degrees out, and I got spiders coming out. Must be time to work with Arachne or some shit.
Yes. Use it as a signal.
Yes, I do. I do. That's what you have to do. And does that mean Arachne really wants me to talk to her? What's Arachne but another character in Hamlet? So, you know. All right, guys. I've kind of done the thing. I've done that thing. I was a pompous ass today. Proud of that fact.
You spat back at the space. Oh my God, I'm there too. You spat back at the faces of all of those who sent roasts your way and said, "Yes, I am all of that, and I am all things.
Mm-hmm.
This is a non-dual experience. Mm-hmm. Observe."
I am so narcissistic that I worry about being narcissistic, because then I wouldn't be so fucking perfect.
Oh, good night, everybody.
All right,
I'm proud
guys.
of my humility.
I'm so proud of my humility. Oh my God, I am the most humble. No one is more humble than me, I swear. So, all right, guys, I appreciate you a lot. Again, if you haven't, go to Etsy. They're on the store. There's only 10 of them. I don't know if they're going to sell. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. If they do, cool. If not, well, but it's fine.
And the link should be in the doobly dop to get to the Etsy if you're watching this after the fact.
Maybe that's why there hasn't been a bunch of Bing Bongs. It's in the pinned comment in the chat that my wife put up.
Yeah, if you're watching it now or if you're watching this after the fact, because we are about to end this, then you will definitely find in the LINKTREE the link to the Etsy if you are so inclined. So
yeah, here it
your
is again.
Support is appreciated but not expected.
Hardcore Zombie said, "Good game, everybody, good game."
GG, easy.
So Eddie, thank you. I want to do a thing probably off air. We'll have to see, or maybe for my. I don't know. Are you free this coming Monday? Maybe we'll do a Luciferian Gnosticism class for my people, and then we'll take that and make that into our public thing.
Maybe.
All right.
I don't know yet.
Yeah, so let me know. Lewis, we stream every Thursday right now. In fact, there might be some changes to my class coming up soon. There's some different ways I might want to play with doing it. If you guys are my patrons or you're not, check out the patron page to see if you want to even join that class. And there's going to be some shifting around I'm going to be doing. I'm having sort of the mentality where instead of doing what I've been doing, I might do something similar. It's a little bit, I don't know. You have to read the Patreon post. But essentially, there would still be a class that goes on, but there might also be, I would like to make it so that the older videos are accessible to all patrons, whether they're in the class or not. So I kind of want to make it so that all of last year's classes are made available, even if you're just a $3 tier patron, kind of like the rerun stuff. So I want to make sure that people can see that now that the main class got it. And I'll probably keep doing that. Like it's kind of, there's over, I'm going to say, geez, there might even be over 100 hours of content. Honestly, if you don't mind hearing me for that long, there might be over 100 hours of content. A lot of meditation stuff. So yeah. All right. I'm done. It is finished.
Goose fraba. Well,
this is like me punching a punching bag for like 4 hours straight. It really is.
Well, I suppose I'll sign us out then, and I'll say appreciate all of you for being here. We stream this time every week for those of you that are new. I think we got a couple in here. So everybody, appreciate you being here. Mind the motherfucking shadows. Tell your friends and warn your enemies.
Tip your wait staff.
Magic is in the butt.